So you're telling me there's a chance?
Hello. Nice to see you on Tuesday. Nice to be seen. Thanks for being here. Get that out of there. I was trying to fix the audio. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Holy shit. Yeah, it's gray. I saw it. We were chatting about the hat color. It's gray. It's like a charcoal, but it's been in the sun for too long. And so it's like a sun-bleached charcoal. That's what we're going with. Good to have you guys here. I feel like I've been working hard, not nearly as hard as
Thanks for the sub.
as Cory Booker. Janelle said, just want to make sure you guys saw this. Let's see. El Salvador deportation, Maryland, man. Yeah, we saw that. I think we covered it the other day, and I'll have it on the show today. So thank you, Janelle, for able to and would like to. We take PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App, and then you can super chat as well. And always a reminder, the payment apps are less of the money goes to the payment apps than through a super chat. So whatever you want to do with that. Also a reminder, we do have paid subscriptions. They get you access to emojis. They'll get you access to the calendar once we finally shoot the calendar. It's starting to get warm. So make sure that if you're not subscribed to a paid subscription, you can do that right away, or tomorrow, or the next day. It doesn't really matter when you do it. But thank you guys so much for the support and for being here. Let's jump right into it. This conspiracy theory has had me... Oh, hey.
Oh, never mind.
Go ahead.
Twitch glitched and now it's back.
Oh, we're back? Okay. Twitch glitch. This conspiracy theory has just been having me fucked up. And I think that the reason it has me fucked up is because it probably doesn't mean anything. Because I can't find anything to back any of this up or even figure out what it means. But I thought I would just play it in case I'm missing something and you guys know something that I don't know. It's also really like the way that she positioned this. Her name is, I don't know, it might be Sarah Huff. It says Sarah Huff right there. That might be her name. Ooh, I wonder if she put her own email. I don't know if she knows her email address is right there. Anyways, audio's in and out. I can mess with the mic. Let's see.
I just told people to refresh.
Okay, some people are saying they scrolled out and back in and it's fixed, so there we go. Swish said, Cory Booker entering hour 18. Let's go. I guess maybe before we do the conspiracy theory. Might as well, since we're already talking about Cory Booker. Cory Booker is, like Swish said, going on 18 hours. Here's one of the clips that he, when he was talking about Social Security last night. Essentially what Cory Booker is doing is he's saying, you know, we have a limited power as Democrats. There's not a whole lot we can do, but we can stall. We can just stall as long as we possibly can. So 18 hours strong. Now, he is not allowed to leave because he loses his spot. He's not allowed really to take breaks unless they're ordered breaks. What he can do, however, is other people can request some of the time, and he can hand the mic over to them. That's the only thing he's allowed to do. But 18 hours straight. If he goes beyond 24, that would be a new record. All I want to say, like, this in and of itself is useless. Like, the action in and of itself is useless. But It's going to show that there are people who are willing to do pretty crazy things, like speak for 24 straight hours on the Senate floor. There are people who are willing to fight, and there are people like Cory Booker who are hearing Democrats saying, "Do something, just anything, please do something," and he's like, "Fine, I'll do what I can," and he's out here. This is a response to all the Democrats who have been going to town halls, who have been speaking out online, who are calling, flooding his office and other offices with phone calls. So shout out to Cory Booker, but this also doesn't happen if we don't have an informed and active electorate. So shout out to everybody who has sent letters, who has retweeted things, who's tweeted things, who's put up Facebook posts, Instagram posts, TikTok, all that shit. It does get to Washington, and it does have an impact.
73 million Americans count on Social Security. Millions more than that are planning on those benefits they earn being there for them. You heard from the first letters I read that people are really worried. 40% of people who rely on Social Security, 40% have no other source of income. You don't fix America by throwing seniors or veterans or Americans with disabilities under the bus. That's not how we do things. That's not how we should do things. There are so many hardworking families that believed in this idea. If I work hard all my life in America, I can make ends meet, I can raise my kids, and I can retire with dignity. Remember this, Social Security is not the government's money to spend. It's the hard-earned savings of working Americans, and it belongs to Americans. The president and Elon Musk need to keep their hands off of it. It's not theirs to take, and it's not theirs to break. Today, 73 million Americans count on
Muted.
Few days, hasn't it? She's already gone. It's been a few days. That's not bad. I forgot what I was saying. So we'll move on. We're talking about Social Security. Let me just point that out. What Cory Booker said there is really important. Cory Booker said that that this isn't government money, that the government shouldn't be touching this money. This isn't about spending. This is guaranteed. This is money that's paid in that is required to be paid out. And when the government, meaning Republicans, start talking about taking money from Social Security, they're doing it because they have to pay for their tax cuts. They're doing it because they have to figure out a way to have less debt. Now, I looked at the budget proposal. We are on track to increase the deficit if this 2025 bill passes, the tax bill, or I guess once it's implemented, $1.9 trillion. That's how much our debt is going to increase this year. $1.9 trillion. And part of that has to do with the fact that we are gutting programs that actually increase our GDP. We're going after programs that actually have a return on investment. There's something like K through 12 education. It's something like for every dollar you spend, you basically get $7 returned for GDP. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of that stuff helps our economy continue to go. All of that stuff is very, very important, and cutting that to give more money to billionaires is moronic. And Republicans lie about it constantly. Like they I don't know why we're cool with, or I guess we're not, but I don't know why Republicans are so cool with their elected leaders constantly lying to them. You all know, everybody that's here, you all know that your guys are trying to gut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and they're doing it to pay for tax cuts. And the only reason you don't care is because you're not on Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. Go ask anybody on any of those programs whether or not this will negatively impact their life. And for many of them, it's literally what's keeping them alive. It's the only reason that they can pay rent. It's the only reason they can go see a doctor. It's the only reason they can buy groceries. And you guys don't care because you're not on it yet. And the Republicans have figured out a way to game the system and lie about what they're doing and use different words. Here's an example. This is Bill Cassidy. I don't remember he's a senator from, I can't remember what state Bill Cassidy is a senator from. Anybody on that? Where's Bill Cassidy? I want to say, God, he looks northeast. Where is it? You guys got that? Anyways, here, watch him slip up here. Watch him slip it. Now, he's been media trained, and he knows what words he can and cannot say. Watch him slip up here. And he gives the game away. And they're all saying this.
But let's look at Medicare. Is there some way that we can cut Medicare so that it's, reform Medicare so that benefits?
Oh, see that? The programming cut in right there. The conditioning cut in. Oh, I said cut. I'm not allowed to say cut.
Reform Medicare so that benefits stay the same, but that is less expensive, more efficient. I would say that there is, and that's where our opportunity lies.
You know what's interesting about all of them? They all say the same thing. We have to make it more efficient. I know that there are ways we can make it more efficient, and they never tell you. What are the ways? What are you doing to make it more efficient? Where's the waste, fraud, and abuse that you're looking for? The problem is that all of these Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, they've all been on the chopping block for 20 years. And so Democrats, for I guess 40 years, Democrats have been fighting against Republicans for 40 years, trying to safeguard Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid from being cut. And because of that constant scrutiny on all of these programs, there really isn't any waste. They're some of the most effectively run programs that we have. But people like Bill Cassidy can get up here and they can be like, we spend $200 billion on Medicaid. I don't know what the budget is. $200 billion on Medicaid. That's a lot of money. And so we can find waste, fraud, and abuse in that money. And Republicans go, oh yeah, for sure. Like, that's so much money. Are you telling me in that $200 billion you can't find any waste, fraud, or abuse? I don't know. How come they don't ever find any? How come Elon hasn't found any? Every bit of waste. And he just says things like, oh, did you know that we have to house all this stuff in a vault? Look, there's a million people that are dead that are still receiving benefits. And then you fact check it and you're like, oh, so zero of them. There are none of them that are receiving benefits. Every time they claim that they find waste, fraud, and abuse inside of what entitlement spending, it turns out to be fake. I just don't get, drives me fucking nuts that we have been conditioned so much as a country to say free markets. We love the free markets. We don't want socialism. That we can't do the shit that every other country has figured out and that makes all of their citizens want to stay there. Every country that nobody immigrates here from, all of those countries take care of their citizens. If you had paid 50% taxes, we covered that yesterday. Let's say every one of you paid 50% of your tax, but you could afford your house, you could afford food, you had your medical taken care of, and you had a little money left over at the end of the month to save or to spend or do whatever you want. If everybody in America had that, that's a great deal. That's the sign of a healthy country. But Republicans have no plan and no desire to ever get us to that point. Ever. It's bad for them. It's bad for their donors. If everybody in America was able to have the type of freedom that these billionaires have, the billionaires wouldn't be billionaires anymore, would they? You go to parts of Scandinavia. I think it was Finland I was looking at yesterday. It might have been no, it was Denmark. It was Denmark because it was of Greenland. In Denmark, if you have a child, basically you get a year of maternity leave, and that can be split between parents. You get a guaranteed 6-week paid vacation every single year. Every job can collectively bargain. They have union membership. The lowest wage in Denmark is $16 an hour, like $16 an hour. So everybody is paid a living wage in Denmark. You know who you don't see a lot of people, what country you don't see a lot of people fleeing? Denmark. They don't leave. And this idea, the arguments against this from conservatives, when I was a conservative, maybe you guys have come up with some new shit, but when I was a conservative, the argument always was we got a little racist with it. Well, look at the demographics of Denmark. Look at the demographics of Denmark. Okay. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, well, they have less people. Okay. So the cost for healthcare here would be cheaper per person because we have more people. Right? Oh, well, they have a healthier demographic. Yeah, because they don't allow Big Pharma to come in and dictate what drugs people are on. They don't allow Big Pharma to come in and lobby their government. They don't allow Big Pharma to come in and run commercials. They don't allow forever chemicals and additives. And as soon as they find out that any of these additives are a problem, you don't have a congressional hearing in Denmark where you have half the country, Republicans, arguing, "Oh, you're taking away the freedom of these countries or these companies. You're trying to be socialist." And the other side going, "Yeah, but people are dying. So maybe we take it away because there's people dying." And Republicans like, "Well, that's just, this is America. If you don't like it, you can leave." This is what we deal with all the time. I would get tired every day if I was a Republican waking up and just like shitting on everything. Everything is bad. Every country is bad. All Democrats are bad. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. You guys are mad at Denmark and Canada right now. Nobody in the history of this world has ever been mad at Denmark or Canada, and we're at war with them. Like we might actually invade Denmark. Nobody is ever mad at them. And the only people we're not mad at is apparently Russia and China and Israel. Like everybody else we're pissed at. You guys thrilled with that every day? You thrilled waking up just hating every country in the world every single day? That would drive me absolutely insane. Frankly, I'm going to be honest. I don't really even hate China. If we're going to be honest, I don't even really hate China that much. I don't even hate Russia that much. I just think Vladimir Putin is a brutal dictator, and I don't hate the people of Israel. I hate Netanyahu. But you got Denmark? We're gonna be mad at Denmark? How dare you guys not give us Greenland? My bad. Can you imagine being Denmark? Like, just minding their own business, keeping their citizens happy. Trump wins the election. They're like, I'm a little nervous about Trump because he's pretty right wing. And then all of a sudden he's like, we're taking your country. Like, what the fuck did we do? What are you doing? Yeah, I told my friend, I have a Canadian friend. He's back in Canada now. He comes down. He's a snowbird. I was like, it was weird watching the hockey game and rooting for the Canadians. It was weird. But yeah, that is how I feel. I do root for them to do well. The thing is every time one of these countries does something much better than us and we can bring it up, it's good for us. That's good for our country. Other countries having success, other countries ending their reliance on the United States, that's a good thing for us. Or even just showing that, like, they don't. Actually, let's rephrase that. They're just showing that they don't rely on the United States. These people that are like, Canada, you don't exist as a country without us. Really? Did Canada get invaded? Did I miss an invasion of Canada? Was there one of those that I missed out on? When was Canada in our lifetime in jeopardy of not being a country anymore? I don't remember that. I remember we dragged them into war a few times. Israel and the United States dragged a bunch of Canadians into some pointless wars. I remember that. That was useful. It was nice for Canada to step in with us and fight a stupid, like the dumbest war possible. That was cool. This idea that like America leads the world and that the whole world would crumble without us. I think if Donald Trump's policies were to be put into place for like a decade, we'd be in real trouble after a decade. You really want the people that fire their staff every time a stock price dips. You want those people in charge of the government? Good idea. Capitalism is cool, like sometimes, guys. Sometimes it's cool, but when it comes to government, it's very much not cool. Johnny says beijinho, which is Brazilian coconut balls. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'll check PayPal and Cash App there. Where did it go? All right, got those both of them. Okay, so let's go back to the conspiracy theory, though. This is the conspiracy theory that's fucking me up, and just because I can't find anything about it, which means it's probably a lame conspiracy theory, but I'm just showing it in case any of you have anything to say about this that might point me in the right direction.
Interesting that Elon had 28 satellites launch from his own launch pad 40 minutes in the news before the Republicans completely lost their support for impeaching judges. And then Cory Booker, just a little while after that, once like some cyber attacks clearly start to happen, I'm just going to go talk to the Republicans until I can't anymore. But I don't know if you remember this though, but Elon's not supposed to be shooting stuff off from his launch pad because NASA's been doing it from the Kennedy Space Center, not from Cape Canaveral, because he's had too many explosions. I don't know. Maybe this is something to do with it. I mean, why would you need to send 28 Starlink satellites up from Florida today? Like, what new technology is so important to have up in the air tonight? It's not like anything big's happening tomorrow. I'm just speculating. But it's weird the Epstein girl got hit by a bus too. Like, that's probably totally unrelated, but dang. Same time. At the same time, they decided to announce that the soldiers were found that were dead, except one is still missing. And some commander-in-chief we have, huh? Since when have we ever had a commander-in-chief not tell us when soldiers are missing in action?
All right, I just want to know about the Starlink. That's all I want to know. I don't know if there's anything to that conspiracy theory of them launching them yesterday. So if anybody, I'm just throwing that out there. I looked everywhere. I can't find anything about it. To me, I'm guessing it feels like she might just be hyperventilating at this point. But if there is something to that, please let me know. My chat is screwy. I can't see most of the chat. See how I fix that. I can't see most of what you guys are saying. And the YouTube chat seems to be way behind. Let me do this real quick. Let me mess with my VPN real quick. Get that over here. Differently. So hopefully that fixes it. It might have glitched for you guys for a second. All right.
The Twitch has been glitched.
It's happened before. Okay. I just want to remind you guys that this is totally not a cult. I saw this video. This is from Right Side Broadcasting News. This is a real thing in our country. This is not North Korea. This is a real real newscaster. We'll use that loosely, but this is Right Side Broadcasting. This is what they say about Trump here.
We know the lawfare. We know the fake impeachments. We know the assassination attempts. This man and his family have endured so much, but truly they have the protection of God and angels surrounding them in this process.
Truly.
And he smiles every day, and we smile every day here at the network and really throughout the country as one of our great correspondents who's on a regular basis, the Republican strategist, Katie Zachariah, says it is like Christmas every day with President Trump at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, because you know these complicated issues are being handled so well and so thoroughly.
It is the birth of Jesus Christ every single day. It is the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, every single day that Trump is in the White House. That's so fucking weird. That is so fucking weird. Why do people talk like that? We just know that everything is being handled so thoroughly and so well. What's being handled thoroughly and well in this administration? Imagine being a newscaster out here having to defend this administration. It's going perfect. Guys, it's Jesus every single day in the White House. Jesus and Donald Trump is vice president, but Donald Trump would really run it. I see that it's 7 problems reconnecting. That's just weird. I don't know why you guys are so weird about that. And despite him saying that, I know that that's pretty convincing. But despite Right Side Broadcasting saying that everything is going so well for Donald Trump, the truth is, by almost every measure, the American people are not happy with him. God, knock it off with the ads. This is from Vanity Fair. This mandate he had 2 months in is beginning to crumble. This is a new poll conducted from the Associated Press. Trump is here's his rankings from the Associated Press. On immigration, which is his strongest suit, he has 49% of people approving, 50% disapprove. Government spending, it's to 46. Conflict between Israel, the Israelis, and the Palestinians. We should just call that the genocide, but I understand that would screw up the question for the Republicans. Managing the federal government, 43%. Social Security, 41%. Russia, Ukraine, 41%. Economy, 40%. Trade negotiations with other countries. The place where he's supposed to be the best, right? This guy is the best negotiator in the history of the world. That's where people see him at his worst. He's terrible. He's underwater in everything. So just remember that every time you turn on the news and you got one of these right-wing programs telling you how everybody's so happy with Donald Trump, ask yourself why they're lying. Maybe they're happy. ask yourself though, like, why are these people telling me that most of the people in the country are happy with what Donald Trump's doing when they're not? When he's underwater in every metric. Americans don't want this. And I wish we could get some of you Republican folks to get out of the cult and just recognize that, like, none of this stuff is benefiting you, and it's not benefiting the country, long-term or short-term. Not a single one of his economic policies has any sort of backing that would say, yeah, this is going to work out long-term. Yeah. Let's just go into more debt to cut taxes for billionaires. That'll fix it. Yeah. Let's gut Medicaid and Medicare and let's give it to private insurance. That'll fix it. That'll fix everything. There's not a single solution that they're offering that makes anything better. The only reason MAGA is still in this is, like, you've just decided that you're in this. You've just decided you're MAGA. You've decided you're pro-Trump. You're in it. You don't care what happens. Penny says, wonder how that mustache feels raking my earlobe. These are anonymous, right? I bet it tickles. All right. This was bizarre. This was just weird. I'm not even going to set this up. Just listen to Trump yesterday.
Mr. President, you met with the chairman. Somebody said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, you're a kind person. I said, I've never heard that before. It was a weird statement. I was kind. Who said that? I've heard of words that, I don't know, I better not tell you. You know, I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word, isn't it? Mr. President, you
It just got more weird. At first, like, somebody called me kind, and I'm like, okay, so he's never been called kind before. Which, like, I don't know. I've heard right wingers call him kind before. And so that was the part initially that I'm like, all right, he doesn't like being called kind. He wants to be seen as a tough guy, and then he calls it an old timey, like, old fashioned word. What the fuck is he talking about here? He loves it too. He thought he just wrecked there.
Kind person.
Look, he starts getting happy.
Say that again. They said, you're a kind person. I said, I've never heard that before. It was a weird statement. I was kind. Who said that? I've heard of words.
Why is that a weird statement? This guy is so insulated from reality. He's so used to being around yes men that I think he thinks this is a joke. Like, he's killing it with this joke. He's such a bizarre person.
I don't know, I better not tell you. You know, I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word, isn't it?
No, it's not an old-fashioned word. It's just like maybe that was the last time you heard it when you were much, much younger. You're a kind boy, but the record shows he was also not a kind boy. I didn't know what to do with that. That was just weird. All right, getting back into it. Now remember, the economy, which is struggling, and the economy, which most economists say inflation is coming, recession is coming, wages will not improve. We're supposed to see massive tax increases due to tariffs. Just remember that you can hate her all you want, but she was right.
Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
And what's he done since he's been in office? Just defends himself. He's writing executive orders. He's going after law firms. He hasn't even got the tax cut for his buddies yet. He literally has just got in office, and he's going back, and he's trying to attack everybody who ever said anything bad about him, anybody who sued him. He's just on the attack. He's doing absolutely nothing for our economy. Things aren't going well unless you're one of his buddies. Unless you're somebody who has given him money, in which case don't worry about it. We can just manipulate the shit out of everything, and you can make a fortune. Case in point here is Newsmax. Newsmax went... shit, where is this? Newsmax went public today. Their stock started at $10, or maybe went yesterday. I think it went yesterday. Opened at $10. It has went up 1,100% since its IPO yesterday. It went from $10 to $125. Multiple times trading had to be halted. Retail investors started piling in, and this is just one more time. Trump and his buddies manipulating stocks, manipulating meme coins. This doesn't make any fucking sense. Let me show you. When I say this doesn't make sense, remember, Newsmax is a news organization, and their stock is worth $125 per share. Just to give you an idea of where Newsmax ranks when it comes to viewership, this is from Adweek. These are the cable news ratings from January, the end of January. That's the most recent ones I could find. Fox News was the biggest by far, 2.781 million total viewers. Then you have down here News Nation, Fox Business, CNBC, and Newsmax. Now, Newsmax has one big show. Rob Schmidt gets about 529,000 viewers. But if you look at the total viewers, here's an idea. By the way, never let a Republican ever again tell you that we watch mainstream media. Top 5 total viewers, The Five, then Jesse Waters, so Jesse Waters times 2 is the most watched person in news. Can you imagine? The dumbest guy in news. I mean, I don't know if there's a dumber person in news. To be honest, I don't think any of the Republicans even like him. It's at 174 now. Jesus Christ. Hannity, Brett Baer, Ingram Eagle, Gutfield, Faulkner Focus, Outnumbered, America's Newsroom, America Reports, The Story with Martha McCallum, The Will Cain Show, Fox News at Night, and finally at 14, The Rachel Maddow Show. And then Fox and Friends. Never let anybody tell you that we control the media. Ever. Fox News literally controls the entire right-wing landscape. So don't let anybody tell you. Did you notice Newsmax wasn't on there? Newsmax isn't even in the top 15. And I showed you that to show you this. This is according to bar chart. So I went in and I compared Fox News, CNN. What happened to this? Where did it go? Is it not going to let me do it? Why did the link not work? All right, let me try again. Let me compare. Son of a bitch. All right, well, let me just tell you this. This is Discovery, which owns CNN. Their stock price about $11. If we go to Fox, let's see what Fox is. Fox, yes, I think it's Fox Corporation, which obviously gets the most viewers. They've peaked at about $58 today. If you want to look at, I'm just trying to remember, Warner Brothers. Did we look at Warner Brothers? I think it's Warner WBO. Is that what it is? Warner Brothers. Oh, no, it was Comcast. That's what it is. Comcast owns. Maybe Comcast owns CNN and Warner Brothers owns MSNBC, or it might be backwards there. Here's their stock, $45. So you're telling me that Newsmax, with all of its limited viewership, is worth 3 times Comcast, 3 times Fox News, and 10 times, I guess 17 times. What was the first one I looked at? I think that was CNN. Tell me that's possible. Look at the shareholders. This is all you need to know. The shareholders of Newsmax. The CEO is Christopher Ruddy. He owns 31% of the company. Thomas Petterfee, he's next. He owns 18%. He's a stockbroker. Then the Sheikh from the Qatari royal family, Sheikh Sultan bin Jazim Al Thani, it holds 15%. And then Vadim Shulman, a Ukrainian entrepreneur, has a 4% stake. It's the who's who of Trump donors. You know what every one of those people actually have in common? Every one of them is a member at Mar-a-Lago. Here's Christopher Ruddy, just so you can see him with Elon Musk. This is them, I believe, at Mar-a-Lago for an event on November 10th after the election. Elon's clearly very excited here. Got the nips out and everything. He's a member at Mar-a-Lago. And one thing I didn't realize about Mar-a-Lago is that Mar-a-Lago, the reason that it's been lucrative is Donald Trump turned it into an exclusive club with, I think, only 500 members. And it was like 25 grand to join. That was in the early 90s. And then since then, like, it kind of had ebbs and flows. But now that he has turned it into the central location for any Republican fundraiser, now it's like the who's who. And so these guys are all getting together and they're meeting with the president. You can find pictures of all of them sitting down at dinner with Donald Trump. They're meeting with the president. They go public, and somehow, because of all the media attention that they get, and a quick tweet from Donald Trump or a bunch of right-wing content creators can drive that price up. Suddenly, these guys run a pump and dump right in front of our eyes. I saw a lot of people in the chat say, like, that price will come crashing down. You're goddamn right. Tons of shares will sell. They're going to make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on this. Watch the insider trading on this. Watch it. Go see what how Marge does on this trade. Go see how these right-wingers do on all these trades. This is an absolute pump. This stock should be worth $5. It opened at 10. It should be worth $5, maybe $2. But it's $175. And when it comes crashing down, it'll be you, the regular American people. It'll be MAGA who's left holding the bag, and they won't even think twice about it. They'll speak, oh, well, that's the risk. You know, it's gambling. I'm not going to blame Donald Trump or any of the conservatives for this. It's just gambling. I guess you're just supposed to expect that these markets will be manipulated. Here's what Christopher Ruddy used to do. Christopher Ruddy used to be the guy that the Trump team would send out and defend his actions, specifically with Russia. Watch this. Watch him lie repeatedly here. This is while he's owning Newsmax. He's being questioned about the reporting on Newsmax. He's going against his own reporting from Newsmax.
Relationship with the Russians during the campaign. What do you have?
Well, you know, you
he
and
says
I
he's
both
had
know
no contacts.
we've covered a lot of campaign.
Well, what contacts has he had with the Russians during the campaign?
We know,
according to your news organization.
Well, look, when he gave his foreign policy speech in Washington, the Russian ambassador sat in the front row. This is not unusual for a political campaign to have dealings with foreign diplomats and officials. It happens all the time. He was very open. He wanted to reset the relationship with Russia.
Sure, but he said it. He said it. We got to look at a couple of things here. According to a report in your Newsmax, Trump met with the Russian ambassador during the presidential campaign. According to Newsmax, your organization, Trump met with Sergei Kislyak himself, the Russian ambassador to the United States, at a VIP reception along with 3 other foreign ambassadors. Newsmax reports that the meeting came during a foreign policy speech, as you said, he gave in April. What do you make of his denial that he's had any relations with the Russians at all? He's given a blanket denial.
Well,
Tyler, no. Tyler, we're not going to talk. We're not going to promote violence here. Thank you.
Yeah, he gave a speech where the Russian ambassador showed up, so it's a little hard to say that he had. Well, I don't believe, and again,
well, your reporting was it's a meeting.
Do you know? We both have been in politics.
See, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to do this. Like, his news organization confirms the story, but he's out here as a pro-Trump. Like, he's not defending his own organization. This guy owns Newsmax. He comes on MSNBC, and he defends Trump instead of his own organization. And by the way, spoiler alert: this is from 2017. His news organization was correct. But his loyalty is to Trump. And his loyalty is not to Trump because he believes in Trump. His loyalty is to Trump because Trump's acceptance of Newsmax and Trump saying good things about Newsmax is the only reason that Newsmax still exists. It would take 3 days of Trump tweeting about how bad Newsmax is for Newsmax to collapse overnight. These smaller companies like OAN, Right Side Broadcasting, and Newsmax, they have no choice but to constantly praise Trump and deflect and lie about stories, because if they don't, if they report true things, the owner has to come on MSNBC and sell out his own organization and be like, yeah, no, all my reporters are wrong. It's just every reporter in the whole world got this wrong. I'm actually the one that got it right. What's your source? Well, Donald told me.
Know how many hundreds or thousands of people you meet in a political campaign?
No. You said it was a meeting. I'm just
I'm
asking you, was it a meeting or wasn't it a meeting? If it was a meeting, why has Trump denied it?
Well, again, it's not unusual. What is the crime even if he did meet with the Russians?
He's asking him over and over, why does Trump keep denying it? He won't answer that. See, this is the problem that we have debating this. He's trying to ask Chris, why is Trump lying about this? And Chris, because he can't criticize Trump because it's such a fucking cult, is saying, well, is it a crime? That's not even the question you're being asked, bro. He just wants to know why Trump is lying about it. That's it. And people are so afraid to cross Donald Trump that they won't even answer questions. None of them will do it. All you have to say, I don't know. All you have to say is, I don't know why he's lying about it. It's obvious that he's lying. I don't know why he's lying. Yeah, the reporting's. I stand by my journalists. I stand by our news organization as a legitimate news organization. This is literally him saying, like, no, dude, we just do propaganda. And I'm actually a little upset that my news organization reported news. That's a problem for me.
You're creating a hysteria of the very same things you're accusing.
Say that it's your fault. Say that it's your fault for reporting on this. Now, my news organization also reported on this, but you are creating a hysteria. MSNBC. Every news organization in the world reported on this, but yeah, they're just creating a hysteria. Why can't you guys just worship him like we do? Why won't you guys just listen to what he says, not fact check anything ever? And plug your ears and plug your eyes for something uncomfortable.
What we're doing.
Christopher, let me just do so. Here's what he said, your candidate, President Trump, your friend, last month. Here's what he said about strongly insisting over and over again, he never had any ties with Russia, nor did anybody working with, have any meetings or ties with the Russians. Watch this. I'm not creating a story. Trump.
Can you say whether you are aware that anyone who advised your campaign had contacts with Russia during the course of the election?
Well, I told you, General Flynn obviously was dealing, so that's one person, but he was dealing as he should have been.
During the election?
No, nobody that I know of.
So you're not aware of any contacts during the course of the election?
Michael Flynn eventually pled guilty to that, by the way, just so we're clear. He absolutely did.
How many times do I have to answer this question?
Can you just say
Russia
yes or no
is a
on it?
ruse. Yeah, I know you have to get up and ask a question so important. Russia is a ruse. I have nothing to do with Russia.
Well, there's a conflict there between your reporting of a meeting and him.
By the way, it turns out he did have something to do with Russia. He was working on a business deal through 2018 with the Russian government. So that was a lie. All of that's a lie. Every bit of that is a lie. His organization is reporting that it's a lie. He's asking Chris, why is he lying? And Chris is like, I can't say it.
Saying it's a ruse.
Well, we pick up a lot of wire stories on Newsmax, and there's a lot of reports on Newsmax. So if there was an official meeting with the Trump campaign, I don't believe we've ever reported that. If the president,
no, we just read your wire. I know what you reported. We just played it. But does that conflict with what Trump just said there?
Chris, we know it's not illegal.
Look in the chat. MSNBC sucks. Yeah, you guys aren't going to address this either. None of you ever fucking address a concern. You just don't like people that report true things. All of this is true. This is from 2017. All of this is confirmed. We now know unequivocally that Donald Trump was lying during this time, and you guys are here attacking MSNBC for exposing it. That's pretty culty behavior, if you ask me.
Legal for them to have met with foreign diplomats.
No, it's just
he was very open. He wanted to reset the relationship.
Said.
And see, it's a smokescreen.
Guys, sorry, one more thing. If you cannot hear me, scroll out and scroll back in. YouTube and Twitch have both been glitchy. Everybody says that the fix to that is scroll out and back in. I understand if you can't hear me, but if you see that you're the only person saying that you can't hear, it's probably because you're one of the only ones that can't hear. So just scroll out, scroll back in. I don't know what to do about it.
Look, Obama holdovers leaked classified super secret conversations the president had with heads of state.
You're changing the subject. Is there a contradiction in those two tapes?
But there was a crime committed, and you guys don't want to talk about that on MSNBC. You want to talk about a non-crime, which is the Trump campaign having some interest in Russia.
What was the crime?
Well, you keep implying there's something criminal about his campaign wanting to reset the button with Russia. I'm not here to defend what I'm talking about here
I want you to tell me what your news agency reported and whether that's true or not. Was there a meeting between Trump and the Russian ambassador Kislyak, or wasn't there? Because Trump denies it.
Well, you should ask his campaign. NBC has reporters at the White House. Go ask him tomorrow about it. I'm not representing the Trump campaign, but I don't see anything.
You're representing Newsmax right now. You're out here defending Trump against your own company. You're out here saying, oh, my company's reporting is wrong. It sounds an awful lot like you speak for the Trump campaign or just in defense of them.
Wrong if he did have the meeting. He wanted to reset the relationship.
Well, why is he acting
I
like
think
he
that's
didn't?
a positive thing.
I agree with you. By the way, I don't think it proves anything that he met with the Russians. The question out there in everybody's mind is, we know the Russians were involved in helping him win the election because they wanted to defeat Hillary. We understand that. That's a fact. And there have been a series of meetings that have been disclosed between his people and the Russian ambassador, which they never told us about till we dug it up. So there's a reasonable progression here of information, and it's not coming from Trump or from you, but it did come, ironically, from your news agency when you reported about a meeting last April between Trump and the Russian ambassador. And now
ambassador showed up to
they
hear
met
the
with him,
speech,
though. Why didn't he just say, I met with the Russian ambassador in April? No big deal.
Why don't you ask him that? My point is,
the trouble is they won't talk about it.
The New York Times reported that the Obama administration shared.
All right, that's enough of him. So we recognize now who he is. He will throw his own company under the bus to support Donald Trump. Now, the other people that are the founders of this company, you have Thomas Petterfy. He is a stockbroker. He owns, I'm trying to remember what the name of his stock broker company is. They're one of those brokerages who, when you had the GameStop run, they're one of the ones that made it so you couldn't buy GameStop, but you could sell it because they wanted to bring the GameStop price back down. This is no different than what they did. They literally shut down trading on GameStop because a bunch of Redditors got together and pooled their money, and they were artificially inflating the GameStop price. And he took this principled stand at the time, was like, no, you can't do this. And now he's letting it happen to his company. The exact same thing. It's been halted 6 times. 6 times they have stopped this the trading on this particular stock. This is GameStop, only 1,000,000 times worse, and it's happening in a day. And it's all just these rich guys benefiting each other. And when the stock crashes, once again, it will not be the rich that are left holding the bag. It'll be everybody else. It'll be retail investors. That's who's going to be left holding the bag here. That people are going to invest a lot of money on this way up, and then it's going to crash, and they're going to be left with losses. And all of these billionaires will still have money. It's unfucking believable. You want to know the other two? Vadim Shulman, he's a Ukrainian entrepreneur. His job is to make sure he helps people from Israel invest in United States companies. He's a dual citizen of Israel and the United States. And his job is to get Israeli money into the United States. All of them actually, they deal overseas. They've tried to diversify overseas, and they're trying to bring in investment from other countries into their companies. Investment, right? Not job creators, investment, because this is the reality of where we're at right now. And somebody said that like stocks are close to crashing. Here's the problem we have with stocks. The reason that Donald Trump and all these Republicans are reaching out right now, and they're talking about not companies coming back, but spend $5 million and come here. We're bringing in investment. When Donald Trump announced all these investments into the United States economy, it went pretty unsaid by most outlets that he had dropped the requirement that your investment have job requirements to it, that if you invest, it has to create jobs. He dropped that. You know why he dropped that? Because every one of these companies is artificially inflated. And it truly is a Ponzi scheme. We've talked about this. You have these collateralized loan obligations that are coming due. And those collateralized loan obligations are backed in many cases by stock. So when the stock market crashes, you can't collect. So these CLOs, these loans that people have taken for VC that have adjustable rate arms, are, as the default rates rise, which they're rising, you are going to start seeing some of these companies crash. It's all going to start coming. It's going to come down. And all of these companies, these tech companies, they have VC loans. And the adjustable rates on those loans are going to kick in. And it's not fully guaranteed. It's guaranteed. The collateral, the collateralized part of it, is guaranteed against their stock. And so what are you going to do? You've already bilked the American people for everything. Americans don't have money to fucking invest. The average American can't afford an emergency. How many of you are putting away money every single day to invest, or every week, or every month? It's a smaller percentage than it used to be. Whatever the percentage is, it's a smaller percent now. Plus, it's an artificial bubble. Like, who wants to invest right now? Who wants to jump in right now? So they need foreign money. They need all of these other these other countries and these other investors to come in and float that stock until they can cash out. They have to create a position for themselves where they'll probably give themselves like a short position. They'll probably bet against the stock market. They'll take a short position. They'll secure that position, which will cap their losses. So as the stock drops, they'll have a short position, and then they'll sell off there, and it'll cap their losses. But everybody else is just fucked. So that's where we're at in the stock market. This is 2007. This is the banks seeing the default rates. This is the banks seeing the rate that people are accumulating debt. This is the banks realizing that the housing market is overinflated, and they're preparing right now. And God damn it, did they get the best guy they possibly could to be in the White House, because he's just going to let them do it. See, last time in 2007, we created a problem, but at least the government was like not all the way in bed, right? The government was like, it was like a booty call relationship. They're in bed with the government now. They're in roles in the government. The same people who got bought off by our federal government, who got, I guess not bought off, paid off and bailed out by our government, those same exact people are crashing our economy again. And this time they don't even have to go to Congress and beg, because they're already there. They're already in the cabinet. And they're prepping right now. They're doing this shit every day. This is they're going to cash out on this. They're going to set this money aside so they have liquidity. And when the stock market crashes, and when the housing market crashes, they're going to go buy everything. That's why they're liquidating. That's why you see all these pump and dump schemes that Trump allows them to run. They're trying to create liquidity for the crash. So that's why you have the meme coins. By the way, remember the Hawk Tuah girl? Remember her? Everybody agrees. 100% of people who watched what the Hawk Tuah girl did said, that's a scam. She should be in jail. They just dropped it. They dropped the whole investigation. Hawk Tuah is not in trouble anymore. She scammed all of her fans. No investigation anymore. We'll never see an investigation into the Trump coin or the Melania coin. We'll never see an investigation into any of these scammers. In fact, scammers right and left, people who are in prison or going to prison for scamming the American people, the elite of the elite. These are all rich people who scammed the American public. They're all getting pardons. Steve Bannon scammed the American public. Pardon. No problem. I'll show you another one that Trump just pardoned recently. Somebody who gave him $2 million and suddenly got a pardon, despite the fact that he fucked over my home state. My home state of Arizona gave this man subsidy after subsidy after subsidy. He lied to us. He stole government money. He stole taxpayer money because he was lying. Then he stole from his investors. And now he's not even going to go to prison for it because he gave Trump $2 million. I don't know at what point you guys are going to wake the fuck up. He's not for you. He's not doing anything for you. Every move this guy makes, every single day, every day, he has done not a goddamn thing for you. Every day, he's doing the bidding of the billionaires, and he's preparing them for the inevitable crash. And they're going to walk away looking great. They're going to walk away with an even higher percentage of the wealth. Because 3 people owning 50% of the wealth, that's not enough for them. Those 3 people should probably own 80% of the wealth. The American people are being sold out in front of our faces. And the only reason we can't get this guy out of office is because he has the most loyal force of morons. He figured out a way, and this is what Elon's good at. I watched a clip from Ron Johnson last night, and Ron Johnson said the thing that Elon's doing in Wisconsin, the thing that he does really, really well, is he finds people who don't vote, and then he gets them pissed off, and they vote. And the only way you can be pissed off by lies is if you're somebody who either isn't involved or you're kind of dumb. And when you're pissed off and you'd rather be pissed off than learn the real truth, then you become even more loyal. So the irony of all of this is that the billionaire class has bought Donald Trump. Clearly. There's no fucking argument that the billionaire class hasn't bought Donald Trump. None. They bought the VP. They're bankrolling his entire operation, and all he's done since he's been in office is give him handouts, give him handouts, give him handouts, give him handouts. And the only reason you guys aren't willing to turn on him is because you don't want to admit you were duped. So no matter what happens, like if the crash comes, and it will, historically, like every economic indicator that exists say a crash is coming. Watch how well these guys come out of the crash compared to you. And you'll probably still be like, oh, no, we get Trump 2028, Trump forever. You just been sold on a guy. You just think because he says the shit that you say to your friends that he's actually doing the shit that he says. He's doing absolutely nothing for you. It's every single day you turn on the news and it's Trump bailing out a rich person. Every fucking time. Speaking of rich people he's bailing out and taking credit for. Remember that one time that Republicans were all up in arms because Zelensky showed up and he wasn't wearing a suit in the Oval Office, and you need to show some goddamn respect.
This is an executive order, as you said, that deals with...
We're going to talk about it? Got on that. We going to talk about it, guys? We're going to talk about respect in the Oval Office? What happened to respect in the Oval Office here? The fuck is this outfit? Here's Trump signing an executive order next to Kid Rock. I'll let them explain it.
The ticket reselling business. For fans of live entertainment and for entertainers as well, the ticket reselling industry has become a huge issue. These people use bots and computer algorithms to buy up huge blocks of tickets and then jack up the price so that fans of live entertainers like Mr. Ritchie, I almost called him Mr. Rock, don't have access to concerts the way that they should. And when they do, it's at exorbitantly high prices. So what this executive order does, it charges the FTC and the Department of Justice with rigorously enforcing laws on the books in collaboration with state attorneys general that have power over consumer protection and other people who have the power to really crack down on this issue so that entertainers and fans won't be subject to these abusive and oftentimes illegal practices.
Jesus Christ. Twice in a day. Motherfucker. I saw the script start going. All right. That was a long one, too. I was really going. Look, none of you guys care about Elon. None of you cared about Zelensky not being in a suit. Not one of you cared that Zelensky wasn't in a suit. You were just told to. They just said, be mad about this. They pushed the button, and you were mad, which is why none of you care that Kid Rock isn't in a suit either. And I just think that you should reflect on that for a minute. I think you should reflect on how easy it is to manipulate you. Everybody who even mentioned, and even if you didn't mention it, think of all the people that you saw talking about it. Think of Jesse Waters. Think of every anchor on Fox News. Think of J.D. Vance. Think of the Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend who asked the question. Think of the social media posts. Think of the amount of people that were in this chat saying, hey, he didn't even wear a suit. And none of you are mad about this. It's because you are just told how to react to things. I want you to honestly think about that. Think about why you're not upset right now at Kid Rock. How did it happen? How did your whole media landscape get mad at Zelensky but not Kid Rock? How'd that happen? How does it happen that Elon dresses like a cowboy that's never seen a cowboy? Every time he's in there, he's wearing his big-ass belt-buckle T-shirt. Why weren't any of you upset about that? Why wasn't that disrespectful? Just honestly think about it for a second. It's because you do as you're told. You are good little boys and good little girls. You do as you're told. And if I were you, I'm not telling you how to live your life. I would just be a little embarrassed. Rory said, always on point. Thank you. FOD says, this coming recession haunts me, bro, every day. Yeah, it's coming. I hope you guys think about that for a minute. How easy it is to get you guys to talk about something and to make a point about something. They wanted you to ignore the fact that Zelensky's country was being invaded, and all he did was tell the story of how he was invaded by Russia. And because this guy right here and J.D. Vance are doing the bidding for Russia, seemingly, they didn't like that a different story was being told. So because they got upset that somebody was saying bad things about their friend Vladimir, they distracted you by saying he was disrespectful by not wearing a suit. And they're not going to bring it up here. Because every time they're just conditioning you. They're just programming you. And you guys fall for it every goddamn time. Every goddamn time. They'll never discuss what's going on. I want to tell you about this bill, though. This executive order, excuse me, was a bill that was signed into law by Obama. It's called the bots. So all this executive order says is that we're going to comply with a bill that is already in law. That's what this is. Obama signed it into law. Not Biden, not Trump. That's how long this has been in place. Obama, I think it was 2014, might have been 2016, signed it into law. So just so we're clear, like, he's not doing anything for you. He's just sitting. He just signs executive orders, and then he goes and plays golf at Mar-a-Lago and stops any of his friends from being investigated. That's it. It's the whole thing. Here he is now, Trump defending another criminal here, because if there's one thing Trump is likely to defend, it's what is going on here? Did they drop this? Everybody has it. Let's see if I can find a different version of it. Oops. Why did they cut that? Where's that video? This is bizarre. Huh. The one video is everybody has it wrong. What happened to Krasenstein? All of Krasenstein's videos don't work? Bizarre. Is it just Krasenstein? Is Twitter down? I wonder if Brian Krasenstein got banned. That's weird. All right, well, I guess we'll move on there. Marine Le Pen, she's the leading opposition candidate from France. Macron's time is over in France. He can't run again. He's term limited. She's an alt-righter. I think she was getting somewhere around 30% of the vote, which is more than any other candidate. They have multiple parties there in France. But she was caught embezzling money. And so she can't, in France, unlike in America, if you commit crimes, you can't be on the ballot for at least 5 years. And then she's going to have to appeal just to get on the ballot after 5 years. But in France, they do things like make sure criminals aren't in office. And in America, we just hire them. We're like, yeah, let's make him president. Ali said, I heard this from another creator today. MAGA means minor attracted gropey adult. Robert says, making up for the last few days, mute boy. Love you guys, brother Bob. Yeah, I'm really making up for lost time on the mutes. I didn't even remember muting. I don't know why I'm muting today. Violent crime in the state of Florida is higher than the state of California. True. All right, so we'll skip past that. Here's a story that nobody's reporting correctly. I don't get it. There is a lot of people. I saw Aaron Parnas cover this. There's a federal prosecutor in LA named Adam Schleifer, and he was fired overnight. And he was prosecuting Andrew Wiederhorn, who's a Trump donor and former CEO of the company behind Fatburger and Johnny Rockets. He was indicted because he was hiding millions of dollars in income, and he would do. He was kind of interested, like. He would use shareholder loans to pay for jets, cars, and jewelry, and then they were able to. I don't totally understand it. They were able to then run them back as losses or business expenses. So he was basically just same thing, embezzling. And the prosecution or the prosecutor was just fired, and the prosecutor was fired. And in the email, it said something along the lines of oh, there it is, on behalf of President Donald J. Trump. So they made it known that Trump was firing him. Now everybody's reporting this as if Wiederhorn, this Trump donor, and the former CEO of the company behind Fatburger and Johnny Rockets, that Trump was taking care of one of his shareholders. I think everybody's wrong. And this is our side of the media that's getting this wrong. I think the true story is this. Laura Loomer tweeted this 2 days ago. Why is Biden holdover Adam Schleifer still working for the U.S. Attorney's Office under the new Trump administration? He's a Trump hater who's been working at the U.S. Attorney's Office since 2021. Fire him. He supported the impeachment of President Trump and said he wanted to repeal Trump's tax plan. Then she just showed comments. This is just him saying, retweeting Adam Schiff saying Trump needs to be convicted and removed from office. Adam Schleifer said, here's my plan to repeal Trump's tax plan. He's just a Democrat. He got fired because Laura Loomer figured out that he was not pro-Trump, and he worked in the Department of Justice. And 2 days later, he got fired. That's the real story. I know people want to point to the donors, but this is the real story here. That Laura Loomer brought it to his attention, and he's being fired for not liking Trump's tax plan, for criticizing Trump's tax plan. This is free speech? This isn't authoritarianism. This isn't fascism. None of this is. This is all just like business as usual, MAGA. If somebody criticizes Donald Trump, they should lose their job. That's pretty fucking wild. That's pretty fucking wild stuff you guys are doing over there. All the green things died when Donnie came to Washington. Jeff, that's a really stupid thing to say. As a reminder to any Republicans, you're always welcome to come up here and discuss it with me. If you want to debate any of these topics with me, you just give JenDub1. You can see the Venmo username. That's also the Discord username. You can send a message to JenDub1 and she'll bring you up. You're welcome to debate any of these topics. Which reminds me, I'll be debating on Admir's Live tonight. No specific guests. We just have some guests. Jen, do you want to do your announcements real quick? USAID was shut down for this. Oh, there you go. Hey.
Okay. So like Jay mentioned, if you guys are other thing, hold on. Okay, there we go. Like Jay mentioned, if you guys want to chat with him, you don't have to cry from the comments. You can actually come and actually have a conversation if you know how. If you want to DM me on Discord, you can. The Venmo is the same as my Discord username. It's Jen, JENN, Dub, DUBB, the number 1. Just send me a DM on Discord and I can bring you in to have a conversation. Also, we need help with your donations to keep the show going each day. This is our job, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 Pacific to 1 each day. So, but if you look in the top left-hand corner is our gift goal. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking out that gift goal. Just so you guys are aware, obviously the Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal go, we get less taken out by YouTube and Twitch. So if you guys could go there, that would be our preference. But anything, we thank you for that as well. Also, if you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch, please do so. I know Twitch is being glitchy today. I'm not sure if it's working here and there, but if you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch, please do so, and same on YouTube. And yeah, check out our link tree for the other social media platforms that we're on as well. Let's see, there was another joke. I didn't copy and say where to go. Anyways, why did the propane truck driver get a speeding ticket?
I don't know.
He was hauling gas.
Thank you, Renee, for the super chat. Marion for the super chat. I appreciate that. I'll update the total here in a minute. I think I read Jen's, right? Yeah, I did. All right. Okay. Last, probably 2 more headlines, then we'll get to the meat. While you guys were probably not paying attention, or maybe were asleep, Republicans were holding another hearing. This time they're talking about banks taking advantage of their customers. And here's the Republicans witness coming to Washington to make sure to let you know that what Republicans do, like Republicans actually love overdraft fees. They're fans of they really want overdraft fees. They're big fans of overdraft fees, especially if overdraft fees don't have a cap on them. They really like expensive overdraft fees.
It's precisely because our consumers are smart that they want this. They recognize that the
Is Twitter
it's precisely
just
because
down?
our consumers are smart that they want this. They recognize that.
What is going on with Twitter? Is Twitter crashing? How's Twitter crashing on the day? Come on. We got Twitter crashing on the day of an election too? Let's try one more time. That's going to be a real problem if Twitter's crashed. We won't have any videos.
Our consumers are smart that they want this. They recognize that the.
All right. Well, I guess we don't have that video. I hope this isn't all of them. That's not good. We'll try it. We'll try it with this one. This is a couple breaking down what's wrong with RFK. I thought this was actually, let's call it cute. Just to recap on that last video, though, Republicans brought in somebody from banking to say that Republicans actually like overdraft fees because what it does is it allows them to overdraft their account, and that it's cheap. It's a cheap way to overdraw your account. And if you overdraw your account, it saves you from a payday loan. So that's why Republicans love it. That's why Republican voters want overdraft fees, expensive overdraft fees.
Okay. So remember how the federal government was going to investigate whether or not vaccines cause autism for the 10,000th time? They're going to fund a study.
They're going to spend a lot of money to do what people have already done while they say they're cost cutting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it turns out the Washington Post posted an article today stating that the Health and Human Services Department has hired David Geyer, who's a known anti-vaxxer.
If you have been around like the anti-vaxxers enough, like you'll know that David Geyer is kind of their guy. He's been repeatedly debunked. He does unscientific studies, and he's now in charge of leading this study that he's already like researched and been debunked. Like he literally can't find a connection between autism and vaccines. He's done it multiple times, and now he's just like they're like, well, let's have him run it again.
To lead this next study trying to link vaccines and autism. It turns out that him and his dad, Mark Geyer, have published studies together trying to link vaccines to autism. And in 2015, there was a study that was retracted.
So they've already been caught falsifying data, and you're going to put them in charge of trying to figure out if this is so. That doesn't exist in science. Like when you are caught falsifying data, you do not get to fall forward. You lose respect. You are kicked out of the field. But you do not get to progress as a leading scientist in your field when you falsify data.
Let me add.
So he also lied about the data. He faked data. This is why you know this isn't a serious group of people. Like they have an agenda. The anti-vaxxers have an agenda, and their agenda is to prove that vaccines are harmful or cause autism, and they don't really care. Like no matter how many times they get it wrong, they just keep coming back with the same conclusion. It's very similar to like the flat earthers. What they do, and almost their entire argument is always like, this happened, and they were on the same timeline, and so they're together. Like the idea that it was vaccines that caused the rise in autism, their proof for that is autism rates are higher now. Do you know how many reasons there could be for autism rates being higher? Testing, changes in our food, changes in our environment, evolution. There's a million different sensible reasons for why autism is diagnosed at a higher rate today. None of them have ever been tied back to vaccines. But because RFK, who's not an anti-vaxxer, remember, he's just a vaccine skeptic. He just relies on good science. He's putting somebody who has been debunked and also caught lying on their studies multiple times and said, let's put this guy in charge.
This person also was reprimanded in 2011 by the state of Maryland for practicing medicine without a license.
Oh.
Okay, so they're going to spend a lot of money on trying to prove something that's already been disproven by multiple researchers, not just in the United States, but around the world. And they're going to put someone with a vested personal interest in proving this, who's already been caught falsifying data, practicing medicine without a license, and we're going to spend taxpayer dollars on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, let's get their username. Ruben Allergy. That was the TikToker there. So that's what RFK is up to, which is cool. Those are the headlines for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's get into the meat of the show here. First, I want to talk about the no good, very bad foreign policy of Donald Trump. And I want to kick it off with the MAGA parents. You guys have likely all seen The Necessary Conversation before. I forget this guy's name, but he interviews his parents. He just asks them questions about MAGA. And his parents regularly give answers that we hear every day when we debate. It's the same types of answers we hear in the comments. And here he's talking to his parents now about Signalgate and their outrage when it was Hillary Clinton and their lack of outrage when it is the Trump administration. And just wait for the answer. It's as dumb as you think.
When all the Hillary Clinton email stuff was going down, you guys were calling for Hillary Clinton to be jailed or executed in some cases, you were even saying.
Yes, nothing was done. She got off. She got off.
She was not president of the United States.
She did get investigated. She was reprimanded. She got exactly the same punishment as David Petraeus.
Therefore, she doesn't make the laws.
That's a problem. And this is widespread in MAGA. They think the president makes laws. They think the president can make up new laws. They think the president gets to interpret the laws. The main problem with MAGA and the reason that they do so well with uneducated people is that uneducated people don't understand how this country works. They don't understand that the president cannot make laws and the president cannot interpret the laws. The president's role is to enforce the laws that are on the books. It's a huge problem, and it's a way for people to just get out of all their former opinions. Somebody said this guy's dad is infuriating. He is. He's the worst. Just like the calm confidence of an idiot is strong here. Mediocre white dude doesn't understand any of it, but he's absolutely convinced that he does.
Make the laws.
So you're saying Mike Waltz's mom should be punished for this? Do you believe he should also be put in prison like you thought Hillary Clinton should have been?
He didn't break any
I
laws.
do think he should be reprimanded and it should never happen again. It was a mistake.
Dad, laws have been broken here. The Espionage Act is called into question potentially, and all government officials are required to keep all of their communications. That app auto-deletes their communications. That is breaking the law. Do you think, Dad, that all government officials should have to keep their communications?
I think all government officials should do what the law tells them to do, and the law right now is Donald Trump.
That's MAGA. Somebody said not all MAGA. No, yes, all MAGA. MAGA is the movement. Like, you might have voted for Trump, but yeah, that's MAGA. That's the MAGA movement right there. We do what Donald Trump tells us. We think what Donald Trump tells us to think. We follow orders from Donald Trump because Donald Trump is the law. That's 100% what MAGA is. It doesn't matter if he commits crimes, you don't care because he's the law. It doesn't matter if he allows other people to commit crimes because he's the law. It doesn't matter if he's has the worst foreign policy in the history of this country because he's the law. It doesn't matter if he's threatening to invade other countries because he's the law. You guys treat this man like a god. I don't care. I don't care if you actually worship him. I don't care if you have an actual Trump statue that you bow down and worship to every single day. I've never seen, rarely have seen, and I grew up in a cult, I've rarely seen people as dedicated to their religion as they are to Donald Trump. In fact, most of the people I grew up with that are in a cult that love Donald Trump are far more dedicated to Donald Trump than they are their own religion. If it comes down to it, I've had friends that kind of were forced to choose, and they chose Trump over their religion. I've never seen this type of loyalty to a human being that was an elected leader, ever. And that's, whether you guys say that or not, even if you don't believe what those parents say, just the fact that you go along with all this stuff means that you've decided that Donald Trump is above the law, and therefore he is the law. If he's above the law, if you don't care when he breaks the law, if you don't care that he writes new laws that he's not allowed to do, if you don't care that he goes past his presidential executive powers and infringes on the powers of Congress or the judicial branch, even if you don't worship him, the fact that you go along with it is all that really matters. Most people said they didn't worship their cult leaders. Most people didn't say they worshiped Joseph Smith, Jim Jones. What was that guy in Charles Manson? None of them claimed that they worshiped the leader. The leader always had somebody else above them that they're like, oh, we all worship this person. But in order to worship this person, you have to be subservient to the person down here. So in order to love Jesus, you got to be MAGA. And there's literally MAGA churches. Churches have become more political since Donald Trump joined office, or joined politics, than at any time previously. We had mostly kept the churches, at the very least, like quietly involved in politics. Now it's like it is. Like the politics and the church merged. And that's what every good authoritarian knows to do. Every good. Hitler did it. It was actually what kept Hitler in power. He had the church backing him. So all these people who would normally be a little upset when people are breaking commandments like thou shalt not kill. It's not a good one. Normally those people would be upset. But if the church is in lockstep with the leader, then you don't have to be upset about it anymore. You just justify it. You close your eyes, you look away. Remember, most Nazis didn't kill Jews. Most of them. They just went along with it because they thought it was justified, or they didn't know all of the details. Just like MAGA doesn't know all of the details of what Trump is doing, which is why we have to have this show every day, in hopes that every once in a while one of you guys stumbles in here and learns something new, because Lord knows you're not getting it from your news sources. This is a little bit longer clip. This is from
a new movie titled
Crystal,
October 8th is out.
And no, not Crystal and Sagar, just Breaking Points. This is a segment she did called Hide Me. Bizarre. I won't introduce it. It's bizarre.
Which purports to track the rise of anti-Semitism in America, featuring Israeli propagandist Noah Tishby, disgraced professor Shai Davidai, and crazy-eyed former Shin Bet fanatic Mossab Hassan Youssef. It is this clip, though, of Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook and corporate feminism fame that went viral online.
I was on a walk with one of my closest friends who's not Jewish. And just out of nowhere, not expecting to say this, what came out of my mouth was, will you hide me? Like, if it comes to that, will you hide me and my family? And like, do I really think that's going to happen in the United States? No. And it was interesting because she didn't really know what I was talking about.
Yeah. You know why? You know why she didn't know what the fuck you were talking about? Because nobody's trying to they're rounding up the people who are critical of Israel. They're not rounding up Jewish folks here. That's why she was surprised. She's like, wait, what? The person, if you are a Jewish American, the person most likely to harm you is wearing a MAGA hat, just statistically, or votes on that side. The alt-right is responsible for almost all the anti-Semitic attacks in this country. The only other directed action at Jewish people that is significant at all would be like radical Islamists. We've had, I don't remember that church. I don't remember if it was in Texas. Maybe it was in Georgia. I can't remember where the church was, where you had radical Islamists going after Jewish people. But you know who's not going after Jewish people? The people that are saying free Palestine. There is not a rise in crimes directed at Jewish people from the free Palestine crowd. That's not happening. The government is literally deporting and locking up people who are critical of Israel. That's why your friend was fucking confused. It's because you're playing victim while the country that you support is doing a genocide. How the fuck have we gotten to this point? The whole world knows, outside of us and Israel, the rest of the world knows who's committing a genocide here. Everybody knows that it's Israel, except for here in America. And now we have to hear crocodile tears here. They're going to round me up. People are being rounded up, lady. And it's not Jewish people.
What do you mean hide you? And I explained that there are these righteous people that hid Jews. This is the story of Anne Frank. And then, of course, she said, oh, I know what you mean. But any Jew would have known what I meant immediately.
The movie, which depicts Jews as the ultimate victims and dishonestly conflates anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, drops at a time when untold tens of thousands of Palestinians have been slaughtered. Israel has reinstituted a complete siege on Gaza, and here in our own country, students are being kidnapped off the street for the crime of opposing this ongoing U.S.-backed genocide. Now, reacting to this context and the Sandberg clip, Sam Adler-Bell put it quite bluntly. Quote, can we just be honest about this for an effing second? The current government of the U.S. is using the protection of Jews to disappear people from our streets for their political speech on your behalf. You got what you wanted. They're the Nazis. You're a collaborator. Now, Bell later clarified, in case there was any doubt, he was specifically singling out Sandberg here, which makes sense given her prominent role in pushing atrocity propaganda that has been used to justify Israeli war crimes. Not to mention how insulting it is to all of us to watch a billionaire expect us to see her personally as a victim while an entire helpless population is being starved. His core point, though, is worth contemplating further because he rightly points out the way that liberal language around campus safety and protection of Jews is being used to push the bleeding edge of Trump's authoritarian power grab, a scheme that seeks to silence all critics and hobble all political adversaries, not just among immigrants and not only with regards to Israel. Many of us watched with horror.
Keep that in mind. What Trump is doing, what this administration is doing, sets the groundwork that if they don't like what you say, you can be removed. That's it. That's all these people are being arrested for. We've had to hear you blithering idiots complain all day long. Well, what about COVID? What about vaccines? What about vaccines? Well, you force people to get vaccines or they'd lose their job. Yeah. Yep. That did happen on a local level only. And then in federal employment, like in the military, because you put other people at risk. It's not the same thing. I put nobody at risk by pointing out that the Israeli government is committing a genocide, and that I don't believe people who just live in Palestine should be carpet bombed and murdered. And that speech, if I was not a permanent resident here, would get me booted. It goes to show you what this administration thinks about their power. They think if they don't like speech, it can be removed. And they will use any legal loophole to do it. And don't think for 1 second that they're not trying to find other legal loopholes to go after other people. Like we've already arrested citizens here, or people and people that legally had status here. We've already done that. We've already deported people that there was no reason to deport them. We've already done it. We've shaved their heads. We put them in an El Salvadorian gang. And no Republican cares. This is just a test run. Like, this is what they're figuring out what they can get away with. And they found out very quickly that almost none of you, a handful of you, but almost none of you will stand up and say, "Hey, I don't like the speech." Maybe you are a Zionist. Maybe you don't like the speech of these people, but you recognize that, like, just speech being a reason for you to be jailed, to be detained, to potentially be deported, I think, like, some of you realize that's not a good precedent to set. But here we are.
Last week, the video of a student from Turkey abducted off.
That's exactly. What's legality got to do with it, anything? Yeah. I don't know if you're MAGA or not. That sounds like something MAGA would tell me. I have no idea, Glenn.
Street while stepping out to visit some friends by a mob of masked, plainclothes state thugs. Her crime here? Publishing an op-ed.
That is why, James, that's exactly why people are getting deported. They're absolutely getting deported for their fucking opinions, for their words. And if you don't know that, I don't know what to tell you. But explain to me how this woman right here got kidnapped and disappeared because of an article she wrote a year ago. And by the way, that's been confirmed now. That has been confirmed by our government that that's why she was kidnapped. No crime, no accusation of violence, no trespassing, no littering, no vandalism, nothing. She wrote an article that was critical of another country, and that country happens to give a lot of people in our country a lot of money to do their bidding, and that's why she got removed. If you don't, if you can't, if you can sit here and watch this and be okay with it, then I think like the things that we said about you guys are true. Before the election, when we worried that you would get a group of brown shirts, that you would act like the Gestapo, that you would round up people who you didn't like without any due process. That's what we accused you of. Now you're doing it and you're defending it. So you don't get to be upset anymore that you got called a fascist. Because when fascism came a-knocking, you started cheering.
In the student newspaper that happened to sort of be critical of Israel. Now, these scenes have been playing out on campuses across the entire country. Green card holder Mahmoud Khalil was taken first from Columbia. We covered that extensively. Another Columbia student and green card holder, Yun Sao Chung, she was able to get a court order blocking her arrest. She's been in the U.S. since she was 7 years old. Badr Khansori, a Georgetown University postdoctoral fellow, was arrested seemingly over his wife's Palestinian ancestry. He's now in custody in Texas. An international Minnesota student was arrested by ICE, the details of which we actually still don't even know, but it's suspected to be part of this state crackdown on Israel dissent.
That's a good point, Marissa. Yeah, they're not getting deported for their opinions. They're being deported for voicing their opinion. Good point. It's that whole free speech thing. You can have the thoughts, but don't say them.
That's not a complete list, and pretty soon, we're not going to be able to track all of these instances and the specific details. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that hundreds of students are already being targeted by ICE for similar thought crimes.
I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors.
By the way, just out of curiosity for the Christians here, I don't know if you know who Jesus was. I don't know if you know what Jesus taught. But Jesus wouldn't be on the side of Israel. So I don't know how you guys are justifying all this. There's just not a scenario where Jesus, who looks an awful lot more like a Palestinian than he looks like you or I, somebody who had some run-ins with the government when he was around, he would be free Palestine. He would not be a Zionist. He would not be pro-Israel. You've twisted his words. You've twisted the book in order to justify a genocide. And the only reason you're justifying it is because your elected leaders are paid to do it, and you don't want to admit it to yourself. You don't give a fuck. You don't understand it, probably. You just know that the people that you voted for are cool with it, and so you're in here blindly defending it. But if you're going to do it from a Christian standpoint, get the fuck out. Go read the book again. Go read it like 50 more fucking times. Go read the New Testament. Tell me how that story played out. And tell me which side the Netanyahu would have been on there. Who would Netanyahu have been? Would he have been there with Jesus at the Last Supper? I don't think so. I don't think he would have been there. I think Netanyahu would have been the one barking orders. Maybe the one that was bribing Judas. Netanyahu would not have been a friend to the Jesus of the New Testament. And yet here you guys are being hateful.
Visitors and say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa.
You're saying it could be more than 300
sure,
visas?
I hope. At some point, I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them.
Protecting Zionism was only the tip of the spear.
All of them. Just everybody who says bad things about Israel. I hope we get rid of all of them. That's our government saying that. I hope we get rid of all people who are here who don't support Israel. Why? I don't know. Why we're so supportive of Israel? I'll never know. I'll never figure that out. It doesn't even make sense. Even like from a biblical standpoint, it makes no sense. It's just been propaganda that's been literally handed to us by Israel. And because that propaganda was handed to us by Israel with a bag of cash, I guess we just bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. We're like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, let's just pretend that the Bible says that the United States, which didn't exist, needs to protect Israel. Let's just pretend that. Let's pretend that that's what this is about. And that way we can keep cashing those AIPAC checks.
However, these efforts are now branching out beyond Israel to any sort of speech or ideological inclination that this regime objects to. A University of Alabama student was arrested with no charges, no seeming connection to any of the protest activity. He was Iranian, however, so I suppose that made him automatically suspect somehow. Ken Klippenstein got hold of a leaked memo mandating all current and returning visa holders be subjected to an ideological test through spying on social media in an attempt to identify any non-conforming views. As Ken notes, the directive seems to be aimed at pro-Palestine sentiment, but it uses broad language about, quote, conduct that bears a hostile attitude toward U.S. citizens or U.S. culture, including government, institutions, or founding principles. One of those founding principles, of course, is freedom of speech, but I don't think they've got that one in mind at the current moment. As part of this purge, Zateo scoops that ICE is manually changing the immigration status of students in a database normally maintained by universities. Now, visas allow students to enter the country. Status allows them to stay, and it's dependent
See
on...
that? They're just changing it. So if they don't have a legal justification to go detain somebody, they just change their immigration status so that they can. Cool.
things like being good standing at the school, taking a certain number of courses, etc. ICE is changing student statuses, and in many instances, not even notifying students. So,
listen, Joe Carp, with all due respect, I'll say whatever the fuck I want about Jesus at any time, because we are still a country that allegedly believes in free speech. And by the way, Jesus may have had a Jewish lineage, but apparently you haven't read the Bible. Apparently you haven't read the New Testament. Apparently you're not aware that Jesus didn't really give a flying fuck about identity. Jesus was about ideas in the New Testament. You're relying on the Old Testament, I think. But yeah, Jesus was a person who believed that no matter who you were, that there were just a certain set of rules that you lived by. And one of those rules was like, don't kill people, which Israel is doing every goddamn day by the tens of thousands.
we can't even really say what sort of wrongthink they are being targeted for. Nor is the crackdown only aimed at immigrants. Supposed anti-Semitism is being used to control entire universities, and pro-Palestine protests are being routinely described by top law enforcement officials as terrorism, with major potential implications for anyone, citizen or non, who would want to participate. The entire apparatus of the state is being marshaled to enforce conformity and compliance, targeting immigrant protest leaders while waving the flag of Jewish safety open the door to an ever-expanding assault on all of our rights. Now, in retrospect, I guess it was predictable that Zionism would be the Trojan horse for ushering in this fascistic program. After all, liberal politicians and Zionists pioneered the use of this sort of language about Jewish safety in order to cover up their own defense of the Israeli Jewish supremacist ethno-state, an explicitly fascist project.
And that's like, I guess that's where we're at. Like, we just are a country where they can make up a problem and make up that there's like that this is somehow like anti-Semitic, and so that they can continue to support the Jewish state, so that they can continue to get AIPAC money, so they can keep cashing those checks. This is about money. It's always been about money. It hasn't been partisan. It's still not partisan. You still have way too many Democrats who are on board with this. This isn't like an anti-Trump thing. This is just an hey, maybe we don't let Israel drag our ass into war all the time. And maybe once in a while, when they do something atrocious, we bring it up. Let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the actions on October 7th, and let's talk about the reaction to October 7th. There's this idea on the right that, like, if anything bad happens to you, you get to obliterate the person who does something bad to you. And that's what the foreign policy is when it comes to Israel. They talk about October 7th all the time. Okay. I was here on October 7th. The whole country, like, you didn't see a bunch of people in America celebrating on October 7th. You didn't see a bunch of people in America coming to the defense of Hamas on October 7th. In fact, you didn't even really see it when Israel launched a counterstrike. But then the news reports started coming in. And then every single day, it turned out there are more innocent people. Oh, Israel lied about who was in the hospital. Oh, Israel lied about blockading aid. Oh, Israel lied about the amount of people that were in a particular building. Every day, Israel lied to us, and we started being like, yeah, maybe Israel's lying. Maybe they're using October 7th as a justification to completely rid the country of Palestinians. Everybody who's putting up an Israeli flag or a Jewish star, I say this with my entire heart. Go fuck yourself. Fuck all the way off. Go fuck yourself. Nobody gives a shit about your goddamn country. Until you guys start acting like human beings and stop carpet bombing the fuck out of Palestine, go fuck yourselves. Nobody's on your side. You got the dumbest people in America with you, and that's it. But the whole world knows that you're disgusting. So you can hide behind your religious symbology. You can hide behind the links to Germany and the Holocaust. You can do all of that. You can try and play it out and play and say, oh, well, we were a victim at this time, therefore we're allowed to murder innocent people now. If I was a victim of a crime, does that mean I can go commit crimes against other people? No, it doesn't. In fact, a good example, Cain Velasquez, he's a UFC fighter. Somebody abused his child or his niece. And so he went and he tried to kill the person who abused his niece. And all of us understand the anger. I can completely understand the anger on October 7th coming from the people of Israel. I was here in America on September 11th. I remember the anger. I remember all of that. And I remember supporting and singing the songs and supporting us invading Iraq and Afghanistan. I remember, we'll put a boot in their ass. And we had the propaganda, and every news lead was us bragging about how we invaded countries and how we were killing people. I remember all of that. I remember being you. I remember justifying violence. I remember justifying the murder of innocent people. And then I decided, wait a minute, maybe America's not always right. Maybe sometimes we fuck up. And then you look into it and you're like, oh, we fuck up a lot. And every time anything happens to us, we make it worse because we're so reactionary and we're so quick to violence that anytime anybody does something to us, we 10x it on them. And there's like the bro culture, the Republican bro culture of like, yeah, dude, get hit once, hit them back twice. How's that working? How's that working in the Middle East? My whole life, I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 this year. My whole life, we've been at war in the Middle East. It's not getting less violent. It's getting more. It's not getting less radical. It's getting more. And we're dragged into these wars because of financial interests. We're dragged in because Israel comes to us, and then they lobby, and then they go to our military-industrial complex. And our military-industrial complex, let's just say that like they're not even thinking like, I'll go to any war for money. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that those people who run Boeing and whatever, Halliburton, let's just say that they don't want to go to war just to make money. But they sure are easily convinced. If they even have a sniff of a justification, they're in. And so are the people in Congress. If you can justify at all using deadly force or using our military, they'll do it. And that's the real problem we have. It's always a profit motive every single time. We have accomplished nothing in the Middle East since September 11th. Not one thing. We've only made things worse. And why is it that we go from September 11th into Iraq? Who was cheerleading that? Who did we bring before Congress to cheerlead us and get the people psyched and excited to go to Iraq and justify going to Iraq, even though Iraq had nothing to do with September 11th? We brought in Netanyahu. And Netanyahu told us that if we took out Saddam Hussein, it would quiet the Middle East. It would take care of the problems in the Middle East. Well, sure as shit didn't, did it? It sure as shit didn't. It's only gotten worse. And then it was like, oh, once we get bin Laden, that'll fix it. I didn't fix it. Once we get Gaddafi, that'll fix things. Once we get bin Salman, that'll fix things. There's always like this next person that we've got to take out that'll fix things, and then it escalates things. And we never learn from that because of money, because these leaders don't give a fuck. Like they're not out there. They're not out there in Europe. They're not out there hurting Christians. It's because deep down, these Christians and perhaps these Jewish folks, they view this as like as a war. They view other religions as the enemy. I grew up believing other religions were my enemy, just to be clear. I believed Catholics were my enemy. Not in the same way, but I did believe that eventually we would have a battle between us and the Catholics. I certainly believed that Muslims were my enemy. I used to think Buddhists were my enemy. I used to think Buddhists were evil. They didn't do anything wrong. When you have such strongly held belief systems that allow you to justify violence against somebody, we've got a problem. The Palestinians are not our enemies. The Muslim people are not our enemies. The people who fight against America, I guess you could argue. I mean, we could literally sit here all day and say who started it. I don't honestly fucking care at this point. I've heard all the arguments. It's unconvincing, and it's unconvincing because like we've mostly just been at war forever. I don't care who started it. I would love to see somebody do something diplomatic. I would love to see people reach across the aisle, and the reason we can't is because every time we do that, every time we say something like, "Hey, let's normalize relations," and I'll throw MAGA a bone here. Let's use Putin as an example. Now, you guys say that Trump wants to normalize relations with Putin. I disagree. I'm on the other side of this. But the argument is that Putin will attack anyway, so we have to. I mean, we're not even attacking Putin. It's kind of a weird one, but like Putin's going to attack anyways. That's probably our argument. Like we're not just going to normalize everything for Putin because we don't trust him. But we never try it. It's just constant war. And the one through line every single time is a bunch of money coming from Israel, paying our politicians, and advocating that we go to war. Every fucking time. It just at some point we've got to, like, we're being led by Israel. Knock it off. Knock it off. If I was any other country in the Middle East, I would be furious with Israel. Because even though they may get attacked, the response is they're never careful not to hurt innocent people. Ever. So yeah, I'd be pissed too. I don't know why this is so hard to understand from our position. And we have such a position of power that we actually are capable of fixing this. We are capable of forcing diplomacy on the Middle East. We are capable of going into Netanyahu, slapping his little bitch hands and saying, knock it off. We're not going to support you anymore. Because if they lose our support, it's over for Israel. So we can do that. And we can tell those other countries, look, we've got Israel under control. If you so much as lay a finger on Israel, it's on. But we will make sure Israel doesn't make any strikes anywhere. That Israel is not proactive anywhere. We could fix it tomorrow, but we don't. Because the reality is that the Israeli government, specifically Netanyahu, they want to wipe the Palestinians off the map. They would love to see every Muslim country be buried.
How else could they cloak their support for a regime that completely undermines their supposed commitment to equality, tolerance, to human rights?
I'm using Crystal as a mouthpiece. Like, if you have a problem with Crystal Ball's arguments here or anything that she's brought up, go ahead, by all means. I'm not a fan of Crystal Ball. Like, I have different politics than Crystal Ball, but just attack anything she uses here.
Supremacy, of course, that's a no. Black nationalism, also a no. But Jewish supremacy? Nearly all Democratic elites would defend it to the death. Why? Well, in addition to the well-organized and very influential Israel lobby, Israel aids U.S. empire. It's always served as a critical strategic beachhead for battles in the Middle East over communism or over oil or whatever ends our empire wanted to accomplish. It was also easy to feel after the Holocaust, of course, that the Jewish people were the ultimate victim group deserving of this special status. Now, this sense was deepened by our own national guilt of denying entry to Jewish refugees fleeing the Nazi regime. For many older Democratic officials, Israel, with its kibbutzim and dominant Labor Party, also sort of coded liberal, lefty even, until its modern hard right turn.
All right, that's where I wanted to cut it off. Yeah, go after Crystal Ball. She's literally like just telling the true history of how this happened. But be upset at Crystal Ball all you want. All right, let me read messages. We are way off on the gift goal. Just a reminder, guys, like we get very limited ad revenue because we cover sensitive topics like this. So despite what our views might look like, YouTube pays us very, very little for the amount of traffic that we generate, and that's pretty typical. So when you're going across content creators that do politics, just know that a lot of ads aren't suited for them. Even the ads that you see, sometimes we don't even get paid on. So we do rely on the generosity of our viewers to pay our bills. We have a gift goal every day. We're way away from it today. So if there's anything you guys can do to pitch in and help us out so that we can keep doing this day after day, that would be much appreciated. We also have paid subscriptions on YouTube and Twitch. Love to have you there. Maybe, just maybe though, this is why CNN, MSNBC, Fox, maybe this is why they never go over and have discussions and interview Israelis. because this is what happens when you just let some of these folks in Israel just speak their mind.
I think Israelis have to take over, and they have to kick them away. It will be much better not to kill them, just to go back to Arab countries.
But it's really rightfully ours if you look at the history and at the wars, and we didn't even start a lot of the wars. We conquered these places rightfully, it's ours.
1,400 years later, we come back. Now, I'm not saying that we can blame the people living here for what happened, but you gotta accept that that's some kind of divine justice, that their great-great-great-great-grandfathers kicked my great-great-great-grandfather out of here, and then we come back, and all of a sudden they're like, well, no, we don't want it, it's not fair.
I think that the Jews came here, they took this land, and this is our land now, and I don't think there should be here no Arabs.
I just want to point out, this video can't exist in Palestine, or in Gaza, excuse me. Because there's no fucking buildings there anymore. Look at how peaceful it is for these people to walk up and down the street and be interviewed. Look at how casual things are. This is night. You're clearly at an outdoor mall here. You can't do this in Gaza. It's not fucking there anymore. Are we seeing, do you see the difference here? How is it that these are the good guys? How is that happening? How is it? They claim that they're under attack all the time, and yet look what we have. You can just walk freely. There's not even buildings in Gaza hardly anymore. Almost everything has been destroyed. Just even if you're going to ignore the words that these folks are saying, how they don't believe that the Palestinians deserve to live anywhere near there, just look at where they're living. Look at how they're living. They're doing fine. They're doing very, very well. While millions of people are displaced.
Like Arabs, we gave them Gaza, they should go live there quietly if they want. They should go back to Iraq, I don't know, to wherever they want.
I think that we need to...
I don't think there's any answer to it. There's only one way, I would carpet bomb them.
You would carpet bomb them?
It's the only way you could deal with it.
Now, if I say carpet bomb, I'm going to have a bunch of MAGA in here saying that they're not carpet bombing. Sure.
Or try to stop them a different way. It never worked.
I think that we're miserable. The Arabs make a piguim, and we need to kill Arabs.
Yeah. Well, I think we're miserable. Look at us. Look at how bad things are going for us. We're so miserable. We got to kill Arabs.
I think another thing that the Jews should have rights to hate them. I think we have the right to hate them. I don't see a reason why not. I wouldn't trust any of them.
אין מצב שיהיה פה שלום בארץ. אי אפשר לעשות איתם שלום, הם תמיד שונאים אותנו. אם אי אפשר לעשות שלום והמצב ככה לא יכול להישאר, אז צריך לטפל בהם בדרכים אחרות, אין מה לעשות.
I think we should give them a country. If you're doing any problem, you just go in there to give them a country, and then it's going to be a war between countries, If they're going to throw rockets, we're going to throw one big one and done.
Yeah, because you guys have nuclear weapons that you're not supposed to have. Somehow Israel just is off the hook. They can just have nukes. North Korea can have, that's a problem if North Korea gets them. It's a problem if Ukraine has them. It's a problem if Iran has them, but it's apparently no problem that Israel has. That's what their population thinks. That's what the MAGA population in here is. Look how quickly MAGA got racist. Look how quickly and excited they got when they got to talk shit about Muslim people and Arab people here. Look how quickly in the chat they got excited. That's what riles them up. Oh, I have a chance to be cruel and racist at the same time? Hot damn, I'm in. Steven said, good show. Socialist Jesus would approve. We love Socialist Jesus here. Stephanie said, wish this was more, but this exchange rate is trash. Thanks, Jay and Jen and team. Thank you very much for that. All right, moving on. Here's Tammy Bruce. She is the spokesperson, person that we keep seeing over and over for the State Department. And she's asked about a report of, what's the group called? A group called Betar US. She's asked about this list that has been reported. It's alleged that ICE and the State Department is using a list that's provided by an Israeli-funded group called Betar that tracks people who say things that are not pro-Israel. I'm likely on that list. Any of us are likely on that list, but there's no justification so far to lock me up or put me in jail. But students who are here on a visa, the State Department has unilaterally decided that that's enough of a crime for them to be deported. And she's asked about this to confirm it. And her lack of confirmation and lack of denial tells me that reporting is almost certainly true.
So just going back to the visa revocations, there's a group called Betar that has told CBS that they have provided thousands of names to the Trump administration of visa holders and naturalized foreigners who, quote, come to the West to rage against America and support U.S. designated terrorist organizations. Can you confirm whether that organization is providing lists to the Trump administration and whether those lists are being taken by the State Department and DHS to do any of this work?
Yeah, the Trump administration, I'm not involved in those decisions, and I certainly can't speak on them. Certainly, in general, not for the State Department. That goes through the framework of the work that we're doing. Whether it exists or not, I won't confirm. It's a matter of we've got broad authority certainly, but how they're coming to those decisions for the consular offices and visas. We will not discuss not only individual visas, but the process of what goes through in determining what happens with individuals and visas and whether they're issued or if they're revoked. So I won't be talking about that today. Yes, Nick.
All right. So we're not going to confirm, but obviously we confirmed that. Obviously we have confirmed that that's where they're getting their list. Just constantly doing the bidding of Israel. Like we are such cucks. It's like, for people who don't want to be called cucks and who spend time calling people soy boys, you guys get cucked to Israel and to Donald Trump so quickly. Nancy says, wish I could do more. Fuck MAGA. Thanks, Nancy. Natalie says, it's fucking snowing here in Bend, Oregon. I'm sick of it. Ew. Snow's gross. And this is from Leslie. Oh, there was no comment there. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate it. Let me check with Jen's real quick. John said, chipping in what I can. You guys do an amazing job. Alyssa said no messages, the blue hearts. Thanks, Alyssa. Kraken says $5 train. Thank you. And Renee says, just because I love the show, keep it up. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys, for your support. We'd love to see it. I hope one day we don't have to ask for that anymore. But thank you guys so much for allowing us to keep doing this. All right, this is Randy Fine. You guys might know Randy Fine's up in a special election in Florida right now. This is Randy Fine now yesterday. I don't know if this was yesterday, actually. I don't know the date on this. Here is Randy Fine talking about just like inventing new crimes. Like if you are disrespectful towards Israel, we will find any reason at all to put you in jail. And here's how he's explaining what they plan to do in Florida to make sure that people don't say things that they think that Randy Fine doesn't like.
Holding people accountable without violating their free speech. Sure. And again, I would remind you that there's no First Amendment right to conduct. There's a First Amendment right to speech, and things that we're targeting in the bill are not speech. Again, if someone wants to stand across the street from my house and wave a sign on the sidewalk, they have every right to do that, and this bill won't have anything to do with that. But when it veers into conduct, and so the way we're going to approach this is through a hate crime kicker. So if you graffiti a building, it is a crime now. But if your motivation is hate, it will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in prison. If you want to litter, it's a crime right now. But if you litter and your motivation is a hate crime, it will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in jail.
So if your motivation is a hate crime, so here's how they're approaching this. If you put up a sign on a lamppost, and that sign is critical of Israel, you'll get the littering charge, but it will be elevated as a hate crime. Now they're just saying, like, if we think it's a hate crime, if you're critical of Israel or if you're pro-Palestinian, we're going to elevate your littering to a hate crime. Do you have any idea? Like, do you guys have any idea how frustrating it is, MAGA, every day to watch us do fascism after fascism and after fascism and have you close your ears and close your eyes? It's devastating. It sucks. This is fucking insane. They are elevating They're finding any way to lock people up for criticizing Israel. Littering with the intent of a hate crime? How's that even possible? How can you do littering with intent of a hate crime? How? What are you doing? Unless the sign says something like "kill the Jews," what are you talking about? All these protesters are saying, "Hey, university that we go to, can you not take money from Israel, please? Could you divest from people who get money or give money to Israel, please? Because we don't want to be on the side of a genocide." And they're like, "Wow, you're leaving the country now." And now they realize, like, this is getting now it's getting more news. Now more people are pissed off. Now more people are upset. And it's American citizens. And they're like, well, what are we going to do about these American citizens who are standing up for these people who we're deporting? I've got an idea, says Randy Fine. What if, no matter what they did, if they ever break the law and they happen to have anti-Zionist views, we'll just take the crime that they commit and turn it into a hate crime, and then we'll throw them in jail. That's an actual plan from an actual Republican who's actually on the fucking ballot, who's actually going to win their race today. Unless something crazy happens, this person is going to be in office after today. Federal office. And that's what he's saying. We should arrest people and charge them with hate crimes if they hold anti-Zionist views and they litter.
Crime right now to hang banners from an interstate. For obvious reasons, we don't want to distract drivers. But if you do that and you have a hate crime, a hate motivation, it will be a third-degree felony. You will spend 5 years in jail.
How optimistic are you of moving this bill along?
I guarantee the bill will pass. And I never do that.
How do you get that guarantee? Don't worry, AIPAC has sufficiently lined our pockets. AIPAC has paid off all of us to make sure that this bill goes through. So don't worry. You just said it. I guarantee it will pass. And I never say that. Well, how are you guaranteeing that then? AIPAC is the answer. AIPAC is paying off our politicians to force us to be quiet with the threat of being jailed. And you guys are like, it's not fascism, guys. Just don't do the thing that they don't want you to do. If you just stopped being critical of Israel, then nobody would lock you up. This is fucking insane. This level of control, this level of like government overreach, I've never seen before in my life. Not even close. You can't give me an example of the left overstepping like this. Maybe in the history of the country, but certainly in my life. In fact, not really the history of the country. You could show conservatives doing this over and over throughout the history of our country, but not progressives. Here's Scott Jennings, our favorite CNN doormat here. Watch Scott Jennings when he gets cornered. And this is what we have to do with these Zionists. Don't let them distract from the conversation. Don't let them talk to you about, oh, well, they started the war. Actually, in 1954, talk about right fucking now. Talk about what's happening right now. Talk about what's happening in our country. Talk about the rights that are being stripped from people for simply saying, I don't like Israel. I don't like what the Israeli government's doing. I don't want their money in our fucking politics. Watch what Scott Jennings does when he has no answer.
Exactly what...
Ham said, do rights come naturally or God-given to humans, or are they given by our government? If you believe naturally, then migrants deserve due process. Yeah, I believe naturally, yeah.
We denounce other countries for doing, not giving our own citizens, when they get wrongfully detained around the world, our own citizens, the due process that they deserve?
Well, I think multiple things could be true. Number one, I delineate between American citizens and everyone else. If you're a U.S. citizen, I put you in a different category.
On due process, that's not a...
So what I do in order to make this work in my head, and this is all conservatives, well, what I do is I understand that we have laws, but I don't like some people. And so those people that I don't like, the laws don't apply. So what I'm doing here is selectively choosing who the law applies to and who it doesn't. And I selectively choose that based on my own beliefs. This is fascism. That's what it fucking sounds like. They're just saying it now. Like they're so cornered and they're so fucked with this administration. Because at least with the Biden administration, they could be like, oh, well, we're not in charge. When we get in here, we'll fix it all. Well, now you're here, and you're supposed to fix it. And your way of fixing it is jailing people who don't think like you do. And so now you're scrambling your ass off to say, you know what? A due process should not apply if I don't like you.
Then if you've come here and broken our laws and committed violent acts or murdered and raped and whatever, I put you in a different category.
When it comes to the law and due process.
Sorry, just real quick. He said, if you come to this country and you commit crimes, if you rape or you murder or you commit acts of violence, then I put you in a different category. They're not talking about people who committed acts of violence. They are talking about people who committed acts of speech. So Scott Jennings is fucking everywhere here, and now she's going to clarify. What about the people who didn't commit acts of violence, Scott?
Is not a distinction.
Well, if you'd like to argue that Trinidad Aragua should have the same rights and that you get as an American citizen, go ahead.
I would change the Constitution.
argues that.
The argument is
you're saying that a terrorist can walk across.
He's desperate to get out of this conversation right now. He hurts. Whoever said this should have been quiet, but he's desperate to get out of where he just cornered himself. So he deflects to Trinidad Aragua. He gets a response, and now he's trying to get out. And kudos to her name again is Abby Phillip. Is that right?
Across the border and become effectively a U.S. citizen.
That's not what I'm saying. Scott, look at me. Okay, you and I are talking. You and I are talking. Okay, what I'm saying to you is that the law does not make a distinction between U.S. citizens and everybody else when it comes to being accused of crimes. Are you saying that that should not be in place? That if you happen to not be a citizen, you get to be thrown into a jail with no process at all?
I'm saying that these people are effectively terrorists. They walked across our borders illegally.
Okay.
They are violent, and I don't really want them here.
But doesn't the government have to prove that they are who they say they are? Correct?
Yeah. The fact is, all these people are violent. They came across they're violent. No, they're not. No, not all of them are. That's the problem we have here. And Republicans roll with that. That's why he deflected. Are you telling me that we should have Trinidad Aragua in here just doing whatever the fuck they want? No, we're saying that if you can't prove somebody's in a gang, that you can't just arrest them. By the way, new reporting out of Venezuela. Guess how many gang tattoos Trinidad Aragua has? None. They don't have identifying tattoos. There aren't gang tattoos. So this idea that they've been deporting people based on tattoos, at least the people in Venezuela, law enforcement in Venezuela is saying that doesn't work. You can't identify these people by their tattoos. They don't have like gang tattoos. Maybe that'll be debunked by somebody else. That's the reporting this morning.
I think
that's all we're saying.
That's all. I
mean, you can say it
eventually.
It's not a concession that you like Trinidad Aragua. It's just a question of the basics of civics in this country.
I think eventually the government will have to show all of its cards on everybody that they have detained, deported, or done anything to in this arena. But there is no doubt that the Trump administration is rounding up effectively terrorists who came across here illegally, committed horrific acts, and do not need to be in this country.
They are doing that.
And eventually, he just said, eventually the government will have to account and show us their information. But there is no doubt that they're rounding up terrorists. If we don't know what they're doing, how do you have no doubt? Eventually they'll tell us, but I know. I just believe, baby. I just believe. I have this feeling in my heart that our government would not lie. Not this government, not the federal government. Donald Trump lie to us? No fucking way.
Perhaps, but they're also doing a lot of other things too. And that's why the courts are asking questions about it. We do have to leave it there because coming up next.
I don't like these people. I don't think they should be here. I'm just going to accuse all of them of being terrorists, and we'll wait. And if Trump will explain it to us later. Just trust him. Jamar said there's still some white stuff left in your mustache. Just saying. I got white stuff in my mustache. You wish, brother. There's an echo when you play clips. The last two have had it. I don't know how to fix that. I have no idea how to fix the echo. Sorry, Jen. Maybe refresh. If it's just new, I haven't changed anything. So maybe swipe in and then swipe back out. I haven't changed anything on the audio. Now here's Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters wants you guys to remember, it's just no big deal, guys. Why are we so worried about this? Why do you guys keep talking about these people who committed no crimes and got deported and got sent to prison in El Salvador despite not being criminals?
you can't take away people's due process like that. And I don't trust the El Salvadorian government to be making sure that they're not torturing people, that they're vetting them properly. They need to be vetted on this side.
The Democrats always say this could happen.
It did happen. It didn't could happen.
Torturing them?
Did you watch the video?
Torturing?
Yeah. Did you read the Time magazine?
Just out of curiosity, like, I don't know what meets the definition of torture for Winebox Janine here, but I would say it would probably qualify as torture to be kidnapped, put in cuffs, sent to another country, put in prison, have your hair shaved, and be forced into certain positions. Yeah, I would say that's torture. I mean, maybe we have a different definition of torture, but yeah, that's pretty bad.
Time magazine was there when the gay barber from Venezuela who had a crown tattoo that said mom was being processed coming into the El Salvadorian. Oh, am I boring you again? I'm sorry.
No, but you've been talking about this gay barber from El Salvador with some stupid tattoo for weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks, Jessica.
Come on.
It's just a gay barber.
He's not into you.
He's an innocent guy who got swept up in a deep...
See, I mean, like, it's not that... It's just like their lack of humanity that's fucking baffling to me. How do you... It's just one... You're talking about one person who's in prison in another country that there's no reason that they should be there. And we haven't done anything to fix it. We're not fixing any of these problems. Why are you so worried about it? Let it go. It's not affecting you. Like, it's the lack of humanity. Like, they're giggling about it. Gutfield thinks he's clearly looking at... I said that he wasn't into her because he's gay and she's a woman. And she's talking about, that's a good joke. Yeah, the guy's in prison, man. Like, a little bit of humanity, that's not a problem.
Deportation, and hopefully we get it figured out and straightened out. But a lot of people in this country, Jessica, get arrested for things that they didn't do, get falsely accused, falsely convicted.
I'm also against racial profiling.
That doesn't mean you just stop arresting people. That doesn't mean you stop arresting criminals because one guy was arrested.
Those people all have due process, though. No, like, yes, I have a problem with you arresting people for speech in general. But if you had just arrested that person and then found out that they had no connection, fine. But that's not what happened, is it? You arrested them. You granted them no due process. You put them in a in a prison full of violent gang members. You shaved their head. And you haven't corrected it yet. This is not the same thing as being like falsely arrested.
Arrested who is innocent. It just means you just try to do it better the next time. And I have nothing against the gay barbers. Gay barbers usually give the best haircuts. So we should bring them back just for that.
That's a stereotype.
Can I add one thing?
I don't know who these jokes are for. Some 70-year-old dude I'd probably killed. He said gay barber. They give good haircuts. And he's gay and they don't care what happens to him. Yeah, they just say, look, there is no, this is just like a game to them. Like, they don't want anything bad on their side. They don't want to have to address any of these criticisms. This is a massive injustice. It's embarrassing. It's inhumane. And the thing is the only, like, how many other stories are out there that haven't made it to national news? How many people don't have a family that they're close to? Like, if I got arrested, I'm not close enough with my family that they would really know how to defend me. Like, they wouldn't know what I think, what I say. Like, fortunately for me, I've got a record here that we keep on YouTube. But like, if I was just in a different scenario, I don't keep in that close of contact with my family. They wouldn't know. How many people are out there that get arrested that don't have a voice, whose voice hasn't made it to the media? We're sending people to another country that they're not from, so that they can be treated inhumanely. That's the whole reason they're being sent there. It costs us an insane amount of money to do it. It costs us more than it's worth. That's for sure. And we're doing this for what reason? What benefit? Again, what benefit are we getting here? What's the benefit to you, the taxpayer, to the public? Are we seeing drastic declines in drug overdoses, in violent crime? Are we seeing? I'm not seeing it. Maybe we will. Maybe when all is said and done, maybe we will. But so far, we're not seeing any of that. Let's see. Jose said Dollar Train, choo choo. Thank you, Jose. Yeah, look, everybody that's here, if everybody did Dollar Train, wipe out that goal in like 2 seconds. We can do that. All right, on to the next one here. Is this the one? Let me just read this from here. This because I mentioned this earlier. So a Venezuelan journalist who's reported on the criminal groups in Venezuela published a book on Tren de Aragua. And she said in her book that the truth is that a tattoo identifying Tren de Aragua does not exist. Tren de Aragua does not use any tattoos as a form of gang identification. No Venezuelan gang does. In Risquez's view, tattoos are completely unreliable indicator of someone's criminal proclivities. Rather, they reflect contemporary fashions and socioeconomic class. Most young people in Latin America these days have tattoos, she said. Often they imitate those of celebrities. A watch in reference to the Argentinian soccer legend Lionel Messi. The phrase Real hasta la muerte in homage to the Puerto Rican singer Anuel AA. I don't know who that is. Both of these symbols appear in the ICE documents. Risquez went on and said, people get a tattoo because it means something particular to them. And yet we have Tom Homan all the time saying we're arresting people. Like, we know that they have gang tattoos, so we're arresting them. Tom Homan can't get a sentence out. Tom Homan can't form a sentence or a word. We're trusting Tom Homan. Oh, there's a calculator popped up right there. All right. Also want to point out J.D. Vance is really fucking bad at lying. Thanks, Britt, for sending this earlier. So this is a story from The Atlantic saying an administrative error sends a Maryland father to a Salvadoran prison. The Trump administration says it mistakenly deported an immigrant with protected status, but that courts are powerless to order his return. So Joe Walsh, former Republican, tweeted at J.D. Vance on this tweet saying, hey, J.D. Vance, you're lying again, and you will continue to lie because lying has worked really well for you. Lying has gotten you to where you are today. What J.D. Vance had said is my comment is that according to the court document that you apparently didn't read, he was convicted. He was a convicted MS-13 gang member with no legal right here. Untrue. In fact, that was just the allegation. The allegation was that he was a convicted MS-13 gang member with no legal right here. But in reality, there is no record. And Tim Miller points this out. This man was not convicted of anything. He had no criminal record. I know you've come to admire dictatorships and loathe our democratic allies, but in a free country, accused and convicted are not the same thing. JD said my further comment is that it's gross to get fired up about gang members getting deported while ignoring citizens they victimize. Once again, not a gang member. We're not ignoring. We're talking about this person, and they want to deflect. Guys, don't worry about the fact that we just ripped a father away from his children and sent him to a Salvadoran prison. Don't worry about that. Just remember that we keep telling you that some of these people are gang members. We haven't proved that any of them are gang members. I'm certain that some of them are, but how many? What percentage? And how long are Republicans okay just relying on the Trump administration, taking their word at it? Probably forever. Why? We know why. We know what these people look like. We know exactly what they look. We watched the whole campaign. We watched you guys demonize anybody with brown skin for a whole campaign. We've seen Trump go after judges, saying that they can't rule fairly against him because they're Mexican. We've watched it forever. This is what you voted for? I'd be embarrassed. But I have like morals and ethics, so I guess that's maybe why I would be embarrassed. Here's more of J.D. Vance lying. This time it's a little bit differently, or a little different. Connor Lamb says the VP's lying about a building trades union member. Now remember, this father is a building trades union member. He had membership in a union. A judge ordered that this man not be removed. They ignored it. Remember, Tom Homan's like, we don't listen to judges. He never committed a crime in 14 years, has a 5-year-old child, and is now trapped in Salvadoran prison. He's a Catholic union member. Thought he was here safely. Apparently not. But again, what are they going to do about it? They're just going to keep lying about it. Why? Because the MAGA base is just like, we'll let you lie. You can just lie to us every single day. It's fine. We don't even do pushback against lies. I'm trying to remember what this was. Oh yeah, this was Trump being asked about Romesa Ozturk's arrest. And Mehdi Hassan correctly, he just says that Donald Trump is a master of feigning ignorance in order to avoid answering the simplest of questions, and our press let him get away with it, sadly. Here's Trump pretending he doesn't know anything about the arrest. And this is the young woman who was arrested just walking down the street by the undercover ICE agents in masks. Everybody has seen this. Trump certainly has seen it, and he knew that it was going on. But because he doesn't want to answer any questions, he just pretends he doesn't know anything about it and moves on.
Did you see the video of the Tufts University student who was taken off the street by ICE agents last week in hoodies and masks? There's been a lot of criticism of that. Are you comfortable with how that was handled?
Well, I haven't really looked at it in any detail, but I will. I mean, I have seen it quickly, but not. I wouldn't want to comment on it. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to comment on it. If he doesn't know, why doesn't he know? At this point, it's been like 2-3 days now. At this point, he should have an answer. Tony says that 70s porn mustache just call you Dirk Diggler. Joan says for being a voice in void that some of us can't. Thank you, Joan. Sarah said love your Oklahoma. Thanks for your knowledge. Thank you, Sarah. Shit. Tiger Lady said wish it could be more. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Tiger Lady. Andre says a good thing Kushner negotiated the Abraham Accords. Yeah, that big peace deal in the Middle East, that didn't work out that well, did it? We don't have a whole lot of peace over there. It's almost like it wasn't a peace deal ever. It's almost like it was just an economic deal. Don, did you say anything there, Don? I didn't see a comment there. I think it was just Dollar Train. All right, perfect. Move on. The Dirk Diggler reference is solid. Kurt, thank you for the super chat. MS Mega says thank you, Jen and Jay, for all that you do. Appreciate you guys. All right, moving on here. I just want to show you that, like, Fox's response to it. Here you have Glenn Greenwald and Will Cain, and they're talking about a New York Times article. I've got, just to give you an idea of this article, the New York Times, basically, they put out an article that was using good sources from the Biden administration, basically said that the Biden administration wasn't really forthcoming about how much involvement they had in the Ukraine war, and that a lot of the strategic and operational, I guess, activities were being done with the United States and Germany and Ukraine, that we were more involved than, like, publicly we let on. Yeah, I read the report. I read the Times article. I don't think anybody's denying that. I also don't think it's a bombshell story. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. We're not normally going to talk about, like, operational activities. Our military historically doesn't do that. So I'm not surprised. This is Will Cain and Fox News and Glenn Greenwald trying to spin it into some controversy. But I just want to point out, before this gets going, that all of these people keep going on TV shows every day to demonize Ukraine, demonize Biden, and they never really criticize Putin, the person who invaded, the person who's in another country trying to take it over right now. They will spend, this is a 5-minute segment. I would challenge anybody to find me a 5-minute segment of Fox News criticizing Vladimir Putin. I don't think it exists, not under this administration. Previously, like before Trump came around, we criticized Putin, but Trump said no more of that. Just watch them spin this story into an attempt at, like, a big story. Again, I have no reason to doubt the story. I don't know if I'm missing something and there's some, like, bombshell that I should be concerned about. I'm just not surprised. I'm not surprised that the Biden administration wasn't completely forthcoming about their involvement. But I don't know why that would be so upsetting.
The New York Times reveals the United States has played a more significant role in the Ukraine-Russia conflict than previously known. According to their investigation, America was woven into the war far more intimately and broadly than previously understood. At critical moments, the partnership was the backbone of Ukrainian military operations, and vast American intelligence collection effort both guided big-picture battle strategy and funneled precise targeting information to Ukrainian soldiers in the field. Journalist and constitutional lawyer Glenn Greenwald joins me now. Glenn, great to see you. This is a pretty stunning report from the New York Times. In some ways, something we could expect, but the detail and the revelation, actually the admission by the New York Times that we are essentially the back end of this war for Ukraine, that's quite something for us to know.
Absolutely. We're essentially involved in a proxy war against Russia, something that in the Cold War, when we thought the Soviet Union was the evil empire, would have been absolutely unthinkable that the United States would be helping shoot missiles into Russia. Think how dangerous that is. They're the largest nuclear power on the planet. And if the United States is going to be in...
Yeah, that would have been crazy if we were just shooting missiles into Russia, but not if Russia had invaded Ukraine. Like, see how they just don't even bring that up? Like, I can't believe we're shooting missiles into Russia. Are we trying to spark a war? No, we're helping the Ukrainians. Like, Russia's in Ukraine. I don't know if either of these two guys know that. That, like, these are called countermeasures, and Russia won't leave. And so they're like, maybe we should start attacking Russian targets that will deplete their military. And they did that. And Glenn Greenwald and Will Kane are like, I can't believe we're going at Russia? Like Russia's not there. They don't even bring up the fact that Russia invaded Ukraine. They just leave that part out.
Involved that significantly and intricately in a war of that magnitude, of that danger, the Constitution says Congress is supposed to authorize it so that these wars have the consent of the American people. We've done away with that completely. The U.S. Congress did vote to fund the war in Ukraine, meaning giving Ukraine...
By the way, nobody's talking about the fact that we're doing the exact same thing. These two guys aren't saying, oh, we're doing that in Israel, except for the difference in Israel is like the Palestinians aren't an occupying force. Do you see how this works? The Congress is supposed to declare war. Okay, then why didn't they do it in Israel? We're doing the exact same thing in Israel, only it's a little different because the Palestinians aren't invading Israel. And we're a lot more careful about taking out civilians in Russia than we are in Palestine. We're not careful at all about taking out civilians in Palestine. We're very careful in Russia.
Financial aid
for the United States. Very careful for the United States. Still not super careful.
Money, but never to involve the U.S. military in operations to strike long-range missiles deep inside of Russia.
To that point, Glenn, and I hope I've highlighted that, we're talking about the CIA and the operations of the United States helping to pinpoint strikes, as you point out, in Russia, not just on the battleground in Ukraine, but helping the Ukrainians execute strikes over the border into Russia. And Glenn, well, I mean, just off the top of our head together, what was the timeline between the pullout in Afghanistan and the beginning of this war? I'm trying to figure out how many times in our history have we managed to remain not in some way at war?
I mean, it was about 6 months. So the military-industrial complex lost its 20-year war in Afghanistan. It was actually President Trump that negotiated the withdrawal, Biden who executed it poorly, but he did. And then 6 months later, we...
See how he has to do that? The only time we haven't been at war, the only time we weren't actively involved in a war was under the Biden administration. In my life, basically since like 2011. I mean, before 2001, probably. I have to go back and look. I guess we were probably, but let's say 2001. The only president who ever got us out of all the wars was Biden. And now he's like, oh, Biden fucked it up.
We suddenly find a new war that even entails more spending to Raytheon and General Dynamics to ship over to Ukraine. And the question, Will, is always, how in the world does this benefit the American people to fight a war over who governs various provinces in eastern Ukraine, whether they're semi-autonomous or more loyal to Moscow or to Kiev? This has nothing to do with the lives of the American people. And that's what Americans have been saying. We only want to fight wars if our security is at risk, and we have to stop funding all these foreign wars that have nothing to do with us.
And the risk analysis on this particular interaction between Ukraine and Russia was so different than the 20-year war in Afghanistan. And it's pointed out in this article, Glenn, that several times people saw the American calculation as how far can we go before we step close to the advent of World War III. And yet the Biden administration kept pushing it forward. Each time they literally asked...
Where did we scale back since Trump's been in office? Where did we pull back on that? Have we pulled back? See, they're doing... Now we're blaming Biden. We're still blaming Biden. But what's Trump done to pull that back? Not a goddamn thing. He's escalated the tensions. The relationship between us and all of our allies has gotten worse.
Asked themselves that question, but decided to step forward anyway, I would guess, knowingly taking that potential risk, World War III.
Yeah, I mean, just war itself is enough of a drain on the American treasury, the American people. But again, this is a country, despite the fall of the Soviet Union, that has the world's largest nuclear stockpile, thousands of intercontinental ballistic missiles with nuclear tips aimed at every American.
Guys, just let them do what they want. They have all these weapons. Just let them invade Ukraine. What are we doing? Why are we even involved in this? Just let Russia do what it wants. Let them take Europe. God, remember they have nukes. Let them do it. Just let them go. This is Fox News. Tell me this isn't Russian state media. This is fucking Fox News blaming Ukraine, blaming the Bidens because Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine.
City. And these are two countries that came close to nuclear Armageddon in the past because of misperception, miscalculation. What conceivably justifies trifling with those risks that DC seems to have lost a fear of in order to try and tilt the battlefield in Ukraine a little bit one way or the other? It's madness. And if they're going to do that, the American people should consent to it. And there's never been any kind of congressional vote on whether we should be involved that way.
Thank you, Kim. Kim said, here's to making the gift goal while we fight fascism. Thank you, Kim. Guys, you're doing a great job knocking out that gift goal. Thank you. It's on its way down.
And I didn't mean to look over that comment because it is the key comment. The American people should consent. It seems almost quaint because it's been so long since we've done so, Glenn. But war...
We did consent, by the way. That's because we don't have a direct democracy. This is another thing that Fox News does that drives me fucking nuts. We don't have a direct democracy. We don't all vote on whether or not we go to war. We don't all vote on whether or not we fund Ukraine. We don't vote on whether or not we fund Israel. We vote for people who vote for it. And all of this stuff has been voted on. This is all representative democracy. Our representatives have voted on this, but they do this. They do this in a way to, like, again, why are they doing it? Why are they doing this segment right fucking now? Because they want to soften Russia. Because they're doing what Russia wants. We're 4 minutes and 14 seconds in of saying that the United States is the problem, that Ukraine is the problem. The only people who don't seem to be a problem in this whole fucking thing is the invading country. That's the only one that doesn't get any criticism. And why don't they get criticism? Well, they have nuclear weapons, so we can't criticize them. This is insane. This is insane. This is Will Cain was one of those top 15. This is the #1 news source in America, and they're out here saying Ukraine bad, United States bad, Russia, they're fine.
Should take an act of Congress. It requires the consent of the American people. And this article illustrates that we have been, the word they used is the back office of this war for Ukraine for all these number of years now. So we are at war. It may not be our...
Nobody's fucking surprised by this. This is New York Times writing an article to get clicks. Who didn't know this before yesterday? We've had this debate. Everybody's been saying the same thing for years. Yeah, the United States, we don't have boots on the ground, but we're helping operationally. We're providing equipment. We're advising them. Everybody knew that. We literally had elected officials going over there. We knew military officials were over there. We knew CIA officials were over there. We just didn't have the details. So what this article is it's a story confirming some details that we didn't previously know, but we all knew that we were helping Ukraine here. We all knew that, in fact, Elon Musk has bragged about the fact that they use Starlink to try and target Russians. And then he was like, oh, now the Russians are... There was like an accusation that he gave that power to the Russians. This is not a new story. 5 minutes. They're doing a 5-minute segment on how Biden and the Ukrainians are the bad guys and not Russia.
Our soldiers on the front lines, but the Biden administration was launching a war, was using military assets, and not keeping the American people up to date on this war.
Yeah, we were totally in the dark about it. Just think if we discovered that China or Russia or Iran or whoever was using their military to strike targets inside the United States with long-range missiles, we would, of course, consider that and treat it as an act of war.
Yeah, but we didn't invade another country, did we? Did we? See how they don't do... Like, this is so fucking dishonest by Fox News. And Glenn Greenwald, who, by the way, is such a cowardly little bitch. And he was now, like... Because Glenn Greenwald's kind of been run out from the circles that he used to be in, like now he has to be a right-winger, and he just pretends that this is normal. Yeah, like let's just say, let's pick a country. Where would we let's say we invaded Iran. And then Russia shot missiles into our country. Then it would be the same. Right? Then it would be the same. But like we didn't invade anybody. Let's say we invade Greenland. And then Russia starts shooting missiles into our country because they've been like we've moved into Greenland, and now like strategically it's a problem. Then it would be comparable. This isn't comparable. Russia invaded. 4 minutes, 52 seconds in, we haven't brought up the fact that Vladimir Putin and Russia invaded Ukraine and that we had obligations to Ukraine, that we've been promising them for their entire existence, that if Russia invades, we'll be there with you.
And that's what we've been doing to the Russians, completely in the dark.
It'll be fascinating to see what can be done now with negotiations with President Trump, with Zelensky, with Putin, whether or not this can be unwound. But we are clearly, from this article, intricately woven into this war. Glenn Greenwald, always great to see you. Thank you.
So, and Dennis, Palestine started the one, Russia started the other. Palestine didn't start that. Or at least it didn't start on October 7th. I guess you can... I've never seen the total history, and like, if we can boil it down to, is it Palestine, is it Israel? I don't care, but October 7th is what kicked that off. Like, that's what kicked off like this latest bit, but that was also in response. That's the whole problem with relations in the Middle East, is that like they're so far reaching, and they've been happening for decades, that it's almost impossible to like assign blame to any one country or any one group. Kim says, here's to make... Oh, I think I read that one. Amanda said, keep it up. Thank you. Go over here. My dogs are going absolute bananas. It's driving me nuts. Ortiz says, Dalahala. And Cam says, for being an absolute dog, keep on slaying. Thanks, Cam. I appreciate that. All right. I tried that one. Let's see if this probably doesn't work. Let me add this up real quick, and then I'm going to get on to Trevor Milton. We're done with foreign policy today. So if you don't want to be upset about foreign policy anymore, we're good. I'll drink the rest of my coffee. Let's move on. We don't want to talk about foreign policy anymore. Let's talk about how corrupt this administration is. Trevor Milton is a founder of a company called Nikola, which is obviously he's not even creative. There was Tesla already, so he made Nikola, which is the first name of Tesla. This is a Mormon. His name's Trevor Milton. He grew up not far from me. We have mutual friends. He's always been a scammer, always will be a scammer. Here is what Trevor Milton was found guilty of. This is from a few years ago when he was found guilty, but here's explaining what his charges were.
Details. Still, what can you tell us?
Kelly, Trevor Milton has been sentenced to 4 years in prison for his role in fraud committed at Nikola when he was the CEO. 2 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of securities fraud. The prosecutors were looking for 11 years in prison. The defense attorneys were arguing that Trevor Milton should be given probation, in part to care for his wife who has been ill. The judge ultimately decided Trevor Milton, the founder and former CEO of Nikola, will be spending the next 4 years, at least that's the sentence, 4 years in prison for fraud. Kelly, back to you.
Phil, is this a surprising sentence? Because it's, to see someone going and now having to spend significant jail time really tells you about the seriousness of what they said took place here.
Well, these were serious crimes. I mean, if you were an investor and you bought into what Trevor Milton was selling when he was the CEO in the summer of 2020, you could make an argument. You could say, hey, look, this caused me a lot of financial harm. And what the judge ultimately had to decide was, did that harm that was caused by Trevor Milton making the claims that he made, the wire fraud claims, as well as the security fraud, was that worth a decade in prison, or was it worth much less? And ultimately, he decided 4 years was the appropriate term. Also, keep in mind that in arbitration 2 months ago, Trevor Milton was determined that he will have to pay $165 million back to Nikola. Wow. And just for one more thing to keep in mind, Kelly, he still owns 52 million shares of Nikola.
Wow.
So we're waiting to get some details from the courtroom.
All right. So he defrauded his investors, securities fraud. I think what was the other one? Like wire fraud. Here's one of the interesting things. I've actually known of him for a long time. A friend of mine built his house. I'll show you his house in a minute. But this was a hype video. So one of the things about him, he said he was going to do hydrogen-powered cars, and that wasn't really working that well. So then he's like, you know what, I want to get into trucking. Nobody's in trucking. So he created a hydrogen-powered truck that can be like recharged in like 20 minutes. It had really good torque. It had really good horsepower. It was going to be very efficient. I think pulling a full load, it was supposed to be able to go 300 miles. And they were struggling. Like they were having a hard time getting production on time. They had announced a release date, and a lot of the investors were worried. They're like, I don't know, it doesn't look like it. Like, we have the outline, we know what the body looks like, but I don't know if this is going to be ready by release day. And then just, I don't remember, maybe a month or so, maybe a couple months before release day, suddenly out of nowhere, like, and they'd gone quiet. Nikola had gone quiet. They roll out this commercial. And they drop it online, stealth, and everybody freaks out. They're like, oh my God, they did it. Here's the commercial. Or teaser. Let's call it a teaser. Pretty cool looking, right? That's pretty sweet looking. And again, like a powered by what did I say? Powered by hydrogen. There we go. So people saw this and they were pumped. One thing about cameras that people sometimes can hide is they can make it, they can only hide so much. If you zoom in here and you can't really see it, you'll see back here there's like a ramp. Where my mouse is, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little ramp there. And this is on a decline. The truck wasn't usable. They had not figured out how to make the engine work. So they rolled it down a hill. And they posted this video. It was all fake. They were unable to figure out how to make this work. So all these claims of what the engine could do, about how much it could, about what the capacity was, about how far, what the range was, it was all a lie. That's who this Milton is. That's why he's going to prison for 4 years. And he did it in a very public way. What he could have done is he could have come out and said, you know what, we can't figure it out. But there were so many investors, and he had gotten millions, maybe billions of dollars from the state of Arizona, where I live. He'd gotten a bunch of money for them to build a plant. He got all these tax credits. He had all these investors, and they were waiting on a return, and he kept promising him, and he kept pushing the date back. So eventually he rolled this out. He faked the whole fucking thing. None of it was real. Pretty cool guy, right? And then what happened? Gets sentenced to jail.
Trevor Milton, thank you so much for speaking to the Wall Street
Gets sentenced to jail, 4 years in jail. He looks a little better now. And then this happens.
Journal today. You were pardoned by President Trump after being convicted 2.5 years ago on federal fraud charges.
And I don't know him, but I was, they say it was very unfair.
Did you know that Trump was going to call you with this news yesterday?
I had a little bit of a heads up because he called me about a week ago out of the blue. I got a call from my phone showed up and it was like executive offices of the president of the United States. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know if that was just fake or not, because you get so many spam calls. So I answered it and they were like, hey, can you hold for the president of the United States? I'm like, well, yeah, of course I can, And he hopped on and he was just like, is this Trevor? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, he's like, how you doing today? And I'm like, I'm doing okay. It's been pretty rough, but I'm doing okay. And he's like,
yeah, life's rough when you're a fucking scam artist criminal. Yeah, life's been tough. I'm supposed to go to prison. Remember, he said he knew this was coming. Why do you think he knew? Do you think it could have anything to do with the $2 million that he's donated to Republicans and specifically to Donald Trump? Think it has anything to do with the $920,000 he donated to the Trump 47 committee? The $123,000 to the Republican National Committee, the $120,000 to the Republican National Committee, who, by the way, part of the agreement when Lara Trump was on board is that the Republican National Committee basically like half, I think it was half the money would go to Trump and half would go to the rest of the Republicans. Think it has anything to do with RFK there, Republican National Committee, Libertarian, Massachusetts Republican Party? Think it had anything to do with those donations? Probably not, right? Trump just likes people who are guilty of crimes.
You're going to be doing a lot better now. I've got some news for you. And then he told me, he's like, I'm going to pardon you. And And I was like, holy cow, are you serious? And he's like, yes, and it's not going to be just a commutation, whatever. I'm going to give you a full and unconditional innocence pardon, and it's all over. They can't ever hurt you again. And so like that was
they can't hurt you. Those big mean judges and lawyers, they can't hurt you anymore when you scam investors and when you steal from investors. And when you fake that your truck works when your truck doesn't work. And when you steal taxpayer money, don't worry, says Donald Trump. They can't get you anymore because daddy's in charge now, and daddy loves scammers.
I got alerted to it a few days prior, and so it was just crazy. I mean, I didn't expect him to call me again, though. I got a call the second time, and that was even more fantastic.
In the court.
Love to see that in the court.
What about the jurors relative with the job of Tesla? Do you think that the person should not have to vote?
Thanks for the sub. Says Milton resigned from Nikola in 2020 after a short seller alleged he made misrepresentations about the company's electric vehicles and their production. Yeah, when they figured out he was faking all these videos.
Prosecutors were asking for more than $600 million in restitution. Is that also wiped out as part of the pardon, or do you have to pay any money to investors at this point?
When the prosecutors go and make a $600 million request to seize my assets, this is another reason why this overreach of the Justice Department is why people don't trust the Justice Department anymore.
They're coming after your assets. Let's talk about your assets. Let's talk about the house that my friend built for him.
This Utah mega mansion is one of the largest homes in
By the way, I want to point out this house was built when they were pre-revenue. So the money that he made, the money that he was spending here was based on investors believing in him, and he was faking this. So investors believed in him. He faked it all. And now he's saying that coming after him is why people don't trust the Justice Department. Let's talk about why being a scam artist, maybe why we shouldn't trust capitalism or scam artists. Look at this house. This is insane.
United States. At 51,000 square feet, it's a family home that's roughly as big as the White House. The 6-bedroom house cuts a dramatic silhouette against the Wasatch Mountains. It sits at the end of Hobble Creek Canyon, a fairly obscure area of hiking trails and wilderness about 15 minutes from the city of Springville. The home was built as deep as one can go in the canyon, and the driveway starts at the end of a dirt road. But the seclusion here is hardly a problem. Within its massive confines, the home has all sorts of ways to pass the time. The sports lovers in the family have access to a half basketball court and a 2-lane bowling alley in the basement. There's also a fitness room with an adjacent sauna, and for hunters, there's a 150-foot shooting range. The kids can enjoy a games room or the dedicated playroom, which has a pirate ship and a slide down into a full ball pit. There's also a media room that seats 27 people. But it's the resort-style indoor swimming area that steals the show. It's really more like a mini water park than a pool. It features a water slide, a waterfall, a lazy river, a rope swing, a hot tub, a children's area, and extensive decking, and even a kitchen. All of that, of course, takes advantage of the mountain views through huge walls of glass. Utah has seen an explosion of luxury home sales over the past 3 years as homebuyers descended on places like Salt Lake City, an area
mostly it. So he defrauds customers. He buys an insane house. He still somehow kept his stock. And here he is saying, this is why people don't trust the Justice Department. Because when I scam people and the Justice Department says, give back the $600 million in value that you lost your investors because you were scamming people, this is why nobody trusts the Justice Department. And look, for anybody that's MAGA here, I don't think you guys support this. In fact, I'm sure that you don't. But I just want to point out that it's the exact same argument that Donald Trump made. It's the exact same one. He scammed people. He defrauded people. He had to pay restitution. And you guys all came to his defense. Like, you're always defending billionaires. But when they scam the people that invested in him, those are the people who got scammed. They'll never get any of their money back. So remember, the question was asked, do you have to pay it back? And now he's like, this is why nobody trusts the Justice Department.
Come in and said, hey, look, we want a few $100,000, or we want this, or we want that. You could actually say, okay, maybe there's 10 or 15 people out there that invested based upon what they misunderstood me to say. or what maybe
Yeah, they misunderstood when you rolled a fucking semi down a hill and said that the semi was functional. What do you mean misunderstood what I said? You rolled it down a hill. It didn't work. You never had a product. Do you see how crazy this is? No pushback from whoever the fuck this lady is.
maybe I just didn't clarify well enough on a quick podcast. But because they went out with these outrageous desires to seize hundreds of millions of dollars, that's actually what hurt them. And that's part of the reason why I think Justice Department leadership now is like, this is not going to happen anymore. We're done with this stuff.
That's not what happened, though, is it? So there is, I don't know the total, I don't know the whole story. One of the witnesses said something that wasn't true. Whether he misinterpreted it or just flat out lied, one of the witnesses said something that wasn't true, which is why he didn't get 11 years, which is why he got 4. It was part of the reason, like, one of the charges, I can dig in later and figure it out, but one of the charges, like, wasn't elevated because the witness said something that wasn't true. Maybe they lied, maybe it just wasn't true, but that's why he didn't get 11 years, and that's why he got 4 years. So and now he's claiming that the Justice Department is dropping this. That's also not true. Trump gave him a pardon. It has nothing to do with the Justice Department, though they probably would have dropped it if they could, but there's already a conviction. So it's not like the Justice Department can drop charges after there's a conviction. So their only way through this, that's what they're going to do to Haley Welch. That's what they're doing with all these crypto scammers. They're just saying, don't worry, we're never going to investigate you. But with him, there was already a conviction. So it's like, give us $2 million and we'll get you a pardon.
What has life been like for you?
For anybody checking in new, the guy in the video is Trevor Milton. He started an electric vehicle company that was, I guess not electric, a hydrogen-powered vehicle company. He lied about it. He said that he had a product. He scammed his investors. He wound up getting a 4-year prison sentence, and he was just pardoned by Donald Trump because he gave Donald Trump $2 million.
In the past 2.5 years since the trial.
Oh, man, it's been hell. Look, I used to love the Justice Department. I used to trust them until I went through this. And now I know why people that have been through this all have the exact same comments. They're like, you can't trust him anymore. And I really wish the judges would put a stop to this and make these people play fair.
What's next for you?
Oh, man.
The crocodile tears from a scammer. That's why nobody trusts the Justice Department. Who hasn't created a company with a fake product and staged videos and lied to investors repeatedly so they would keep giving their money and then turned out it was all a fraud? Who hasn't done that? This is why none of us, all of us in this together, this is why we don't trust the Justice Department. Because if they could come after me, they could come after anybody. The same fucking thing that Trump said. Now, you know who they go after? Criminals. You're a criminal.
I'm still trying to figure out how to process this data, all what's just happened in the last 24 hours of my life. Every day when you wake up, when you've been in
process the data of Trump saying, fuck it. Nothing bad happens to you anymore. I just wiped that all away. That's not data. You bought a pardon for $2 million. That's what happened.
I didn't gone through this. You train your mind to not have hope. You train it to not have emotions up or down because you can't handle that emotional roller coaster. It'll kill you. I'm still trying to come out of that mentally. How do I process this, that it's real? The company got destroyed. It went bankrupt. And so all the assets are up for sale right now. So it's definitely something I'm looking at right now. And I may consider picking up either some or those assets. It is a potential and a possibility, but I don't think that that's where I'm.
He's going to keep scamming. Yeah, I know I scammed some people, but fuck it. I'm off the hook now. I might just scam them again. Seems like there's no recourse here. Seems like I'm not going to get in trouble. So run it back.
I'm going to dedicate my next years of my life. And one of the things that I really that I learned from this is I had assumed when you would speak about something, I spoke a lot about my business plans because we were a pre-revenue company. We went public as a pre-revenue company. And so I thought people knew I was speaking about the company in a pre-revenue state. A lot of people can take your words out of context and essentially turn them into something that makes you look bad.
Yeah. Like when you say, look at my truck that is hydrogen powered barreling down the road. And then it turns out there's not even a fucking engine in there. Just nothing. You just rolled it down a hill. They took that way out of I never said in that video that it had an engine. They took that out of context. I was clearly just showing them that our trucks without an engine can roll downhill, and I thought they would be excited about that. Not all trucks can roll downhill without an engine. I can't believe they took it so far out of context. These fucking bullies at the Department of Justice.
So if I do anything next, there will be heavy disclosures about essentially with a team that'll be there to help explain every interview I ever do. They'll explain what I was referring to. So if someone is ever misunderstood or doesn't understand what I'm trying to explain, every interview I do from now on, when it comes to relating to a company, I'm going to have a group that is defining exactly what I was trying to say so that the prosecutors can never go and lie about it again or misunderstand it.
This is such bullshit. What I really learned is that I'm not a criminal, but I'm going to have a team of people who clarify what I say from now on. That's what I've learned from this. I'm not paying it. My investors that lost their money, fuck them. Fuck them. Do I have these assets? Now, I don't have to repay them. Could I sell off my assets and pay them? I could. Am I going to? I am not. What I am going to do instead is hire a very good PR team to spin this and so that I look like a victim. Now, if any of you think I'm exaggerating or I'm putting words in his mouth, he got pardoned like 3 days ago. Tell me this all happened in 3 days? Trevor Milton's website has launched, trevormilton.com. Entrepreneur, criminal justice reform advocate, American businessman. Trevor Milton's a lifelong entrepreneur known for pioneering advancements in clean energy and zero emissions transportation. That's not what you're known for. As the founder and former CEO of Nikola Corporation, he led the company to become the first OEM to produce hydrogen electric semi-trucks, reaching a valuation of over $30 billion at its height. At the height of the scam, it was worth over $30 billion. So this is you can get rid of, or you can get in touch with him, and you can pay to interview him. Here's some suggested things you can talk about: the pardon from President Trump, criminal justice reform, and what's this? Oh, an upcoming documentary release. God damn, he's been working the last 3 days. Some people would make the accusation that this was staged and that he knew it was coming and he set it up to capitalize off it. I wouldn't say something like that. They've probably just put together this documentary release in the last 3 days. It's probably just in the exploratory phases. Oh, wait, no, there's a trailer. Oh, so if I go to trevormilton.com here, oh, man, look at how much work they did in just these last 3 days. How did they even come up with all this? Oh, there he is, sitting on his fancy chair. Breaking news, full pardon granted. Conviction or conspiracy? That's the name of his documentary. Let's take a look at it.
The fact that we are the first people in the world to deliver a fuel cell truck, this could change the entire world. After you see this,
no fucking way they used the video. No fucking way. They used the video. No way.
For a fuel cell truck, this could change the entire world. After you see this truck come to life here tonight, you guys will understand that what we show you, we can actually deliver on. Trevor.
But what happened in that event? The people that came and saw it, they were like, wait, this doesn't work. It's not a functioning truck. That was these they opened it with the scam roll it down the hill and the event that got him caught. That's what they're rolling out here.
Trevor was a great salesman. That was his goal. Zero emissions.
Nobody at that point had a fuel cell truck.
We're targeting the second largest polluting industry in the world, the trucking industry.
Yeah, he cares about the planet. That's why he's such a big supporter of Donald Trump and the Republicans, who Donald Trump yesterday literally said, none of this shit matters. Like, clean air doesn't fucking matter. Emissions don't matter. They don't make a difference at all. They just, his dad said it correct. I think it was his dad. He's like, he's a great salesman. Yeah, he was a great salesman. He told you he cared about the planet.
Nikola stock surging.
Forming a strategic partnership with General Motors.
One point last week, it had a market cap bigger than that of Ford Motors.
He built something that became a 30.
That's how you know it's, by the way, same as Tesla. Oh my God. All right, we're going to have a chat about this guy. I didn't know he was in this. Oh. All right. It's weird. Yeah, I know this guy really well. I didn't know he was in this. Jesus. What was I saying? Sorry, I was just shocked that this guy's name is Jimmy Rex. He's a realtor in Utah, massive BYU supporter. He and I in my early, before I ever did this stuff, back when I was leaving the Republican Party, we would battle about a few things. He's very wealthy. I have a lot of friends who have dated him. They do not have kind things to say about him. He was one of the people that lost a bunch of money. In fact, you can find a video of him like he literally, let's see. Let me find this video. I can't believe they're using Jimmy in this. Let me see if I can find this video. I hadn't watched this trailer. Jimmy Rex. Is it Ponzi scheme? Let's see if I can find this video. This is crazy. Probably going to find it on Twitter. Let's see if I can find this. Sorry, guys. I'm actually just like, I'm just a little bit shocked that Jimmy Rex is in this. I thought he had removed himself from all this. I'll see if I can find it. There's a video of Jimmy Rex. I just don't remember exactly what he said. I want to say it was like Ponzi scheme. Be early. Basically, he said something along the lines of like the key to being like in a Ponzi scheme is being first. Like get in early. I'll try and find that for another time. Anyways, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. What's on Jimmy Rex's forehead? Hair plugs. That's new hair.
Billion-dollar company.
So many amazing things were about to happen.
Nikola shares are tumbling after a short seller called the company, quote, an intricate fraud built on dozens of lies.
Nikola towed a truck up a hill and then just let it start rolling
because the truck couldn't run itself.
Lying to the public about Nikola's hydrogen capabilities.
Today, we announced charges against Trevor Milton.
They say the company has made false statements and it's had misleading demonstrations.
There's 1,500 employees. If it was a scam, what were those people working on?
The trucks worked. I mean, we had driving trucks at the time this came out.
Nikola Motors facing years in prison. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Due to the media's influence, the American public was being misled.
The truth is important to me. That's why, for the first time, I'm telling my side of the story.
Trevor Milton, take one, marker.
Yeah, I just figured out a way to launch this very quickly. What else does he do on his website? Causes. What are your causes, Big Trevor? Gets to keep all his money. I mean, insane. Oh, good. Puppies. Grants and donations. Yeah. He supports nonprofit churches. Nonprofit. That means he just pays his tithing to the Mormon church. That's what he's saying by nonprofit churches. Nonprofit dog rescues, innocence projects, hurricane relief, nonprofit organizations for blind and limited, nonprofit films for American Indians. Sure. I did find, here is Jimmy Rex talking about in 2020.
When I first met you, you brought your boat to Lake Powell, and on the...
You'll notice Jimmy Rex's hair in 2020 was much worse than it is now. Jimmy Rex used to host these big Lake Powell parties. He's a guy that was at BYU until his like late 30s, and he was hosting parties with like 18, 19-year-old girls all the time, houseboat parties. And he would flaunt his money, and he just hung around BYU co-eds forever. He might be married now, but for last time I checked on Jimmy, he wasn't married. Here's him in 2020.
So, yeah, I remember when I first met you, you brought your boat to Lake Powell, and on the side of it said U-Pillar. That was the first company that you were still doing at that time. When me and you started hanging out a little.
Trevor Milton in his good old days in his BYU stuff. His first company failed. So here's Jimmy. By the way, you might recognize Jimmy from AlphaCon. Which, I mean, these guys are all in it together. This was we made fun of this for a long time. This was a like a right-wing who's who of this was a real thing. It was called AlphaCon in Salt Lake, and it was going to teach you how to be an alpha. Now this guy in the middle, the bull, he was in charge. Also massive Trump supporter. He has now been indicted for multiple crimes and is going to prison. Here's Tim Ballard, the guy who lied about saving the children and then sexually assaulted a bunch of people. Here is Jason Harward, who I once bought a one of those massage chairs for. A good friend of mine was good friends with Jason Harward, and so he called me one night and said, like, we're trying to help his company launch. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he's a multimillionaire. And they sold me this shitty massage chair that broke within like 3 days, and I never got my money back from. And it was back when I had more money. It was significant. This is Aaron Wagner, who has been credibly accused of sexually assault by many people and had a very public split with his wife. And then, of course, you have Jimmy Rex there. I believe Ian Wendt has also been charged with some crime. So this is kind of the crew they run around with. It's just a bunch of fucking criminals who ran something called AlphaCon. And they were all just kind of like they operate in the same way as like venture capital does, is in the same way like Peter Thiel and the PayPal mafia operate. They all invest in things together. Collectively, these guys went out, well, along with some of my other friends. And I say none of these people are my friend, but some of my other friends, they went out during COVID and they bought dental practices and they bought a bunch of homes and they used it all with investor money. They all have coaching programs. They all teach men how to be alpha. This is just the Mormon Andrew Tates. That's who all of these people are. They're all criminals, though. Every last fucking one of them. And look, they're gonna be criminals some more. Alpha con men. I like that. Let me check messages. Again, we're way away from that gift goal. I understand. It's a tough time in America, so we may have to adjust that gift goal going forward. But if anybody can do anything to help us out to knock that out, that'd be greatly appreciated. We got about 20 minutes left of the show. Jamar says, I fucked people over, stole money, got pardoned by a felon, and that makes me hate the justice system, huh? Yeah, tough break for him. All right, well, this is a good segue, actually, to go into electric vehicles and the ultimate con man, Elon Musk. Elon Musk is in Wisconsin. We should get the results of that election, I'm guessing, tonight. Not sure, but he's running the same scam he ran before, where he pretends he's giving away $1 million. And last time, he gave away $1 million, and it was random, and then he was taken to court. And his defense in court was, no, it wasn't random. We chose the person. So we paid somebody $1 million. It was not a lottery, because that's illegal. That's gambling. So we actually just paid one person. I think he's doing it again.
So Elon Musk gave out his $1 million checks last night that were supposedly available to anybody that signed up and then showed up to this thing, and one went to this guy, Nicholas Jacobson. But very shortly after he received his check, people on the internet started to realize that a guy with the exact same name just so happens to be the chairman of the Wisconsin Conservative Republicans. Now, it hasn't been 100% verified that it's the same dude, but I'm definitely leaning that way. And I mean, if that is the case, that's really just par for the course at this point after all the corruption that was involved with his so-called $1 million sweepstakes last year. It's crazy enough that any of this is happening, but the fact that they're so corrupt that they can't even let just one regular Joe poor schmuck win makes it that much worse. This is the other girl that got a check, by the way. I can't even exactly see what her name is, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say in like a couple days she's gonna come out as like somebody's cousin or some party insider or something like that. But yeah, anyway, welcome to Trump's America, where you too can get rich if you are probably already rich.
It's always a scam with all these guys. And look, Donald Trump wants to remind you that it's important. If you're a real patriot, you got to support Tesla. You got to buy Tesla. Tesla is a great American company, and it's good to see Trump using the hard R for Tesla for a change.
He's got, despite the way he's been treated, so he's an American patriot, but the way he's been treated with Tesla is just terrible. It's just terrible. In fact, you have a Tesla, and you love it. You love it. He was saying before he bought a Tesla, he loved it. A lot of people are buying Teslas, I think, and I hope they are. He should not be treated that way. He's done an incredible service.
Once he goes back, is Doge going to keep operating?
he's got.
Guys, you gotta support Tesla. It's very important. Not that you know the name, but just that you support Tesla. From now on, very important that you support Tesla. Thanks, Charles, for helping knock out that gift goal. You're the greatest, Charles. You're always here for us. All right. That was just me being petty. I also have a new name for Pam Bondi. I am now calling Pam Bondi Dolores Dumbridge. If you don't get that reference, I'm not going to explain it to you. It's probably my best nickname I've ever come up with. This is Dolores Dumbridge, who she's not going to investigate real fraud, all the crypto scams that are going around. She's too busy dropping charges against crypto scammers. Here's what she's going to do instead. It's very important that something that could be taken care of by local law enforcement be taken care of by the Department of Justice instead. And goddamn, Dolores Dumbridge, cool it on the fucking Ozempic. Your face is going to be concave in a very short amount of time. Cool it. Cool it. You look like you haven't eaten in a month and you have dead eyes.
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars.
That is not domestic terrorism. It's just like, we have real domestic terrorists in this country. We have people who want to harm nobody wants to harm the country by going at Elon. As defined by the FBI, domestic terrorism involves ideologically driven criminal acts, including threats or violence committed to further domestic, political, or social goals. I guess like is saying that people being fired, is that politically, is that ideologically driven? Is that what we're saying? Like, if the government oversteps and you think the government overstepped and you go out and you react, is that ideologically driven? So, but when the government does it, it can't be domestic terrorism. What it sounds like is you can't do anything to somebody who works in the government without it being slapped, labeled as domestic terrorism. I'm fine with this guy going to jail, by the way. He should go to jail. If you're graffitiing Teslas, if you're scratching Teslas, if you're firebombing Tesla dealerships, you should stop. And if you get caught, you should go to jail. But it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that our Justice Department is being used as like a propaganda arm now. What have you heard Pam Bondi announce investigations into? Almost nothing, except for this. We got more important things to worry about than Elon Musk's Tesla dealerships. We have far more important things. The local authorities can take care of that. You don't need the Department of Justice. And by the way, in any court of law, like you guys got so upset that Donald Trump was being investigated, and anybody who investigated him, you said it was politically motivated. It's impossible for you to say this isn't politically motivated. It's impossible. The Department of Justice is overstepping their own bounds, coming and taking over a case that local law enforcement is more than capable of taking care of, because Elon Musk gave Donald Trump a bunch of money. That's not what the taxpayer money's for. This is a waste. This is an open and shut case. The Department of Justice doesn't need to be involved in any way. They're just doing this so that Elon Musk doesn't quit and he doesn't stop giving him money. He's feeling bad. So we got Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, out here running interference for Elon Musk's feelings.
Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. We've charged Cooper Frederick in the firebombing of a Tesla dealership that occurred on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado. All of these cases are a serious threat to public safety. Therefore, there will be no negotiating. We are seeking 20 years in prison. The crime was committed in Colorado, and thanks to the great investigative work by the FBI, the defendant was arrested in Plano, Texas. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
This is just straight up like weird ass propaganda. Like nobody's comfortable watching this. That's uncomfortable. She's an uncomfortable person to listen to. She's an uncomfortable person to view. and her message is uncomfortable. This is just straight up propaganda at the behest of the richest person in the world. Did you know that other car dealerships in this country have been targeted historically, have been burned down historically? Anybody know that? Did we announce on TV? Did the Attorney General go and announce on TV that they were going to go after them as domestic terrorists? It's fucking weird, guys. Like we're in the twilight zone. She's not doing anything. There is real crime happening all over this country. Real crime. People are taking, especially like financial crimes, and she's doing nothing. She's just there to make sure that if anybody retaliates against Trump, that they're going to be taken down. That's her whole job. She is a watchdog, a guard dog, a junkyard dog. And goddamn, they're not feeding her. It's not working. This is scary shit. There's a million things she could be doing. This should be nowhere near the top of her priority list. By the way, we still don't have the Epstein files. How's that going? Pretty good. Dolores Dumbridge, perfect nickname. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. I like clean arguments. I'm right side. Thanks, Dennis. All right. On to this. Donald Trump's been in the news every day because he's Donald Trump. But one of the things that's been in the news the most is that Donald Trump is openly considering, or at least not saying that he won't run for a third term. So Josh Hawley was asked about this, and Josh Hawley, who is a lawyer, a constitutional lawyer, he just dismisses it as trolling, and then he's like, I don't know. But he's not going to definitely say he can't run for a third term.
Don't you think he's probably kind of trolling?
He said I'm, quote, not joking.
Well, I know, but I say that a lot too.
So we shouldn't take him seriously when he says he's not joking?
Well, I mean, the Constitution's pretty clear. I guess you could try to pass a constitutional amendment. I'm kind of a term limits fan, though. I think we ought to have him for Congress too. So my view, if he's wanting my view, I would say
limited to.
I would say let's go further. Let's get him for Congress as well. You know, let's sauce for the gooses.
I mean, go further. There's already term limits for the president. Hey, if we're going to do term limits, maybe we should do it for Congress. There's already term limits. They're there. He's talking about ignoring term limits.
So presidents I know always, particularly popular presidents, always complain about that, especially from Congress. Like,
so you're against
like their sixth term.
So you're against him seeking a third term.
Well, I'm generally in favor of term limits. I think it was a good idea. You know, interestingly, it applied against the only president from my home state, Harry S. Truman. He was the first president to have the term limits. He didn't like them either. So presidents never like him. But I'm kind of a term limits guy.
Dangerous for him to sort of flirt with that idea?
I think he's kind of twisting all state.
If he were to run for a third term, would you try to stop him? Is there anything that you would do?
Well, I mean, gosh, the Constitution's pretty clear. I don't think he'd do that. He might try to change that, submit a constitutional amendment. I guess you could call a convention of states.
Would you be against that?
Calling a convention of states?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of, like I said, I'm a pro term limits kind of guy. My view.
They're so afraid to just cross him, to just flat out say no. They're so afraid to cross Donald Trump. Like the grown men and women. I'm not in favor of ignoring the Constitution. You know, he might be, and to each their own. Everybody has their opinion. Some people think the Constitution should be followed, and some people think that we should not follow the Constitution. I just happen to be one of those people who says we should follow the Constitution, but you know, I don't want to step on anybody's toes here.
Let's expand.
He's
doing a great job.
He's doing a great job. He's fucking killing it, though. Yeah, I forgot I didn't compliment him yet. Let me throw this in. Nobody asked. Oh, he's doing great, though. He's doing amazing.
A scenario where Vance would run.
No, he was asked about that.
Yeah.
He got asked about that.
And he said that would be something. He's been floating it.
He said, "Oh, that's one option." Right. He said, "Oh, that's one option." That was
yeah. What's the other option? Just get rid of the Constitution altogether? That's another option. I mean, that's what Yarvin wants to do. That's what Peter Thiel wants to do. They just want to get rid of the Constitution altogether, just end democracy. So there's options on the table. Like, if we don't want to completely undo the Constitution, maybe we just let Trump stay for a third term while we work on undoing the Constitution. So there's lots of options. Insurrection would be fine. Maybe just jailing our opponents, that would be an option. Oh, there's all these options that are on the table, and we'll figure it out. Here is on and by the way, this is we've seen Trump's comments about this. It's not like this is going away, and it's not going away in the same way that like all things Trump does never go away. Trump will lie to people and they'll just keep repeating it. Long after it's been debunked, they'll keep repeating it. Let me get some comments real quick. We got 10 minutes left. Christy said, missed you on TikTok. Keep pointing out stupid. I've got somebody working on the TikTok thing. I have to go live for 10 minutes before they'll restore my access, but I have to do it from my phone. I can't do it from TikTok Studio. Amanda says, fuck Bebe, fuck Elon, and fuck Trump. Bebe? Who's Bebe? Sorry, Bebe. Thank you, Amy, also for the donation. Let me check in with Jen here. I think I got those. All right. Gift goals updated. We could do it. 65 left in that gift goal. Here's what was her name? Did I even write her name down? Hayek. I don't remember her first name. She works for some right-wing super PAC, I think. Just listen to this. And this is all just posturing. This is all showing Donald Trump your loyalty here.
Well, I'll say he was elected 4 times. But
BB. Okay, BB. It was spelled Bebe. B-E-B. Okay, BB. Thank you.
He would be elected 4 times, but only serving 3rd since the 2021 was stolen.
Wait, excuse me.
Hold
on.
Seriously?
We're still doing that? No.
However,
hold on.
Hold on.
We're still doing the stolen election? Give me a second here. We are not doing that. Okay? In answer to your question, we're not doing
Look at her dumbass face. Well.
Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. You don't have to actually say the words out of your mouth, but I'm going to say them.
Well, if the election were held today, and this is why the left is so worked up about it, is because Donald Trump would win again. If there were
We're not worked about. We didn't even think about if the fucking election was held today. We didn't even think about that. That's not why we're worked up. We're worked up because he's dog shit. He's a fucking shitty president, and he's handing over every bit of every dollar and every bit of power to corporate donors. That's what we're upset about. And we understand that we've got 4 years and hopefully we can make it through 4. What we're upset about is that you guys think it's not even a joke to you. You're actually open to the idea of him getting a 3rd term. You want to identify, for all the Republicans who don't like being called fascist, the difference between fascism and not fascism is, can Donald Trump serve a 3rd term? If you say no, congratulations, you might not be a fascist. If you say yes, you're a fascist. That's how this shit works. That's why we call you fascist, and you're like, we're not fascists. What are you doing while you're in office? We're going to be super fucking fascist. We're just going to do all the fascism.
Election held today, this approval we just talked about is so high, he would win again. But I think there's other options for other.
And we showed his polling, by the way. I don't know if he would win again, but he's underwater in his polling. I don't know that he would win again. You could make that claim, you could guess, but according to polling, he would not win again.
Trumps too. In 2028, could be a J.D. Vance, Don Jr. Down the road, 2044, it could be a Barron Trump. I think the options are limitless here.
They're literally talking about a monarchy. They desperately want a monarchy. And they don't really care if they're elected or not. They're saying the right things now. But honestly, do you think, what percentage of Republicans, if they said new amendment, we're a monarchy now, the president has to be a descendant of Donald Trump? You're telling me how many votes would that get in the House? It's not 0. It's not 0. It might be 20. It might be 30. It might be 40. It's not 0. There are a significant amount of people in this country who want a monarchy, including Elon Musk, who is the most influential person to Donald Trump. That's what they want. And they're out here on CNN just like in open setting, just openly saying like, yeah, let's do this. Soli, thank you for the super chat. Ryan says, I have a buddy that just got a job 10 weeks ago with Health and Human Services. With government cuts, he just got laid off. When I go visit him in a few weeks, he's probably not going to blame Trump for this. It was his dream job. That fucking sucks. Yeah, dude, but we're doing great in health. We're great. HHS is doing great. Our health in this country is doing great. We do need to fire people. That's the problem. Too many people have access to medical care in this country. And it's too affordable, so we got to fire some people. Here is in a Senate Finance Committee hearing. We had Elizabeth Warren questioning Trump's. Let's see, what is Frank Bisiagno? What's going on here? How do I undo that? What is Frank Bisiagno? Oh, that's not the wrong. That's the wrong one. Where was it? There we go. What's Frank Bisiagno? Is he Social Security? So yeah, oversee Social Security. He's the pick. Listen to Elizabeth Warren ask very good questions. Questions we want answers to, and watch him run from the answers because we all know the answers. And we've seen this enough through every one of these Trump confirmation hearings. They all just sit there and lie, and they don't answer questions because we know exactly what they're going to do because they wrote the shit down. It's called Project 2025. They wrote this shit down, and they're following it to a T.
Suppose this same 65-year-old calls the helpline to apply for Social Security, but he's told about the new DOGE rule, so he has to go online or in person. He can't drive, he has trouble with the website, so he waits until his niece can get a day off to take him to the local Social Security office. But DOGE closed that office, so they have to drive 2 hours to get to the next closest office. When they get there, there are only 2 people who are staffing a 50-person line, so he doesn't even make it to the front of the line before the office closes, and he has to come back. Now, let's assume it takes our fellow 3 months to straighten this out, and he misses a total of $5,000 in benefits checks, which, by law, he will never get back. So, Mr. Bisignano, is that a benefit cut?
Well, first of all, Senator,
yes, of course it is, right? The answer is yes, of course. If you can't get access to your benefits because they have gutted Social Security and you can't even get in to apply for benefits, or there's a problem with your benefits and you don't get those benefits, and by law they won't go back and back pay you, yeah, of course that's a cut.
Is that a benefit cut? I'm sorry, my time is limited here. That's an easy question, yes or no?
By the way, I want to show you this tactic. So if you're ever watching congressional hearings, one of the things that these people are taught to do is to filibuster. So when they're asked a question, and it's a great way to do it. They'll say things like, first of all, I just want to thank you for having me here. I've really enjoyed our conversations. I'm so glad that the senators and the United States Senate and the American people, those viewing it online and also on TV, I'm so glad that the American people love America and care about America, as you do, Senator Warren. And I believe that. After sitting down with you, I believe that you have America's interests at heart. And that's really what we're all in this together for. We're all in this for America. And you just wasted a minute of her time. But Elizabeth Warren has been here for a while, and she's brilliant. So she's just like, dude, shut the fuck up. I asked you a question.
Get back. So, Mr. Bisignano, is that a benefit cut?
well, first of all, Senator,
Is that a benefit cut? I'm sorry, my time is limited here. That's an easy question, yes or no? Is it a benefit cut?
I have no intent to have anything like that happen on my watch.
I understand that. Is it a benefit cut?
I'm not sure what to call.
Yeah. By the way, the people, this is the problem we have with MAGA. You guys are like, Social Security payments are still going out. Yeah, no shit, dummies. No fucking shit. But apparently you can't read. Because what Republicans are proposing is cutting benefits. Nobody is saying that benefits have been cut. We just can read. And we read their bill. And their bill says that you need to cut Social Security. Do you guys read? Or do you just blindly defend everything? It's sick. It's a sickness that you have. It is. It's cult-like behavior. It's follower behavior. It's knee-jerk reaction to anything anybody says. And you think you're smart enough in your own brain to just be like, they're talking about cuts? Yeah, well, I don't know anybody who got their Social Security cut, so I don't care about this. That's what they're banking on. They're banking on morons. They're banking on people not realizing what's about to happen to them until it happens, and then it's too fucking late. That's why Trump says, I love the uneducated. That's why Republican states are the least educated states. Because if you're educated, Republicanism doesn't make any sense. If you're educated enough, and if you read things, you're like, wait a minute. This whole fucking system is rigged for rich people. And every time Republicans get in office, they make it a little easier for rich people to rig the system. And they tell you, like, did you see your benefits get cut? Do you have your benefits right now? Yeah, I've got my benefits. See? We're not going to cut it. And you're like, oh, yeah, I believe you. And then they cut the benefits. And then it's too late. That's how all this shit works. Like, I don't know why you guys are so willfully stupid. I don't get it. If Democrats were doing this exact same thing, I'd be here screaming at the top of my lungs. No, don't cut Social Security. But as bad as I understand the duopoly, I understand that there are many things that there's very little difference between Republicans and Democrats. But the main difference, at least on messaging, is Republicans believe that our economy works best without limitations. And Democrats believe that our economy works best when you have protections for those who are not born into wealth, those who might not have access to capital, those who historically have faced injustices. And they believe that people who have obscene amounts of money probably don't deserve to have obscene amounts of money while people are starving, because that's how economies are supposed to operate. They're supposed to. Our government's role is to make sure that our economy operates in a way that is just, and in a way that is fair. And Republicans have been telling you forever that the best thing that you can do is get the government out of the way, and you believe them. But the government's not in your way. The government's never. None of you have the government standing in your way of anything. The government is standing in the way of the corporate donors that give money to the Republicans. And those corporate donors feed you that same bullshit lie that they always do. If they can come after me, they can come after you. Hey, if you guys tax us more, we're going to pay you less. Change the laws. Don't let them pay you less. You guys are cucked to the billionaire class. They write your talking points, they write your laws, and they sell you out. And they do it while they hide behind your Christianity. They use your own views against you. They use your bigotry. They use your distaste for people who have different sexual preferences than you. They use your fear of immigrants against you. And they use all of this rhetoric to get in power, and they tell you that they're going to make your life better, and then they don't. Which is why they're not making your life better now. Which is why they're using every ounce of power and time they have to give tax breaks to rich people and cut spending for poor people and cut aid for people who are dying. And they're telling you that eventually, if the Republicans get their way and they're able to get rid of all this government waste, fraud, and abuse and get the government out of your life, then suddenly you'll be free. But the only thing keeping billionaires from taking all of your money and all of your property and forcing you into a slave state where you get basically enough to live, and that's it. And they own your house, and they own big pharma, and they own big grocery, and they own big ag, and they own every industry. Collectively, they just a handful of them own every industry. And you're lucky enough that you get to work with them. There's no upward mobility. The only thing keeping them right now from owning everything is the federal government. And every time Republicans get in office, they strip away protections that our federal government has placed between you and I and the oligarchs who want to own everything. And we put barriers in place, and they keep telling you that if we remove those barriers, life will get better for you. But they keep getting richer. Their life keeps getting better, and yours doesn't. So maybe those barriers aren't really about making your life better, because if it was about making your life better, wouldn't they just pay you more? Their wealth is accelerating. Ours isn't. The average CEO pay has risen by something like 1,800% in the last 30 years. Minimum wage has went up, 30%? And why is that? Because Republicans say if we can't have cheap labor, then there won't be any businesses. We can't tax these billionaires, even though their wealth is accelerating. It's exploding. The average CEO in America, the average of a major corporation, makes more in a year than you'll make your entire life. And then they convince you that the government is the problem and not them. That if the government takes more of their money or forces them to pay you more money, that it's bad for you somehow. It's communism. But look at the countries who do it this way. Look at the countries who collectively bargain, who have high standards of living, who have guaranteed vacation pay, who have collective bargaining, who have universal health care that is funded by the government. Those countries are thriving. Nobody wants to leave those countries. And we're bleeding. The American middle class is bleeding. And the corporate oligarchy, they just want to take over everything. Because in their minds, like, utopia is Russia. Imagine to them, they're like, look, I could be just like these Russian oligarchs, completely untouchable, with obscene amounts of money. And I'm looped into the government. I'm part of the government. And the people that are here, like, I just keep telling them, I'm here to protect you. And they just keep buying it every single day. They look at Russia and they're like, that could be us. And you guys look at Russia and you're like, that won't be us, because I remember Russia's the communists. And you forget to look at what's happening right in front of you. That the wealth is being consolidated into a few hands. Please, for the love of God, don't believe me. Please, go study how Russia became an oligarchy. Please, please go look. Go see what happened. Putin brought in all the richest people, put them in his cabinet. Donald Trump brought in all the richest people, put them in his cabinet. Putin went and got the church, brought the church in, said, you guys have a say too. Donald Trump brings in the church. Every fascist leader in the history of this country, or of this world, has done the exact same thing. They are not you. They don't care about you. They don't care about any of this. All they want is to consolidate wealth. And imagine a country run by these fucking morons. Imagine a country run by Howard Lutnick. Imagine a country run by the baby back bitch Elon Musk. What if Elon Musk had real power? Like, more power than he has now. Imagine speaking out against Elon Musk if he had real power. That's where we're headed. That's why people don't speak out in Russia or they lose their life. Anybody who has a voice in Russia and that voice gets elevated and they're critical about Vladimir Putin, they wind up dead. And it's not because Russians are inherently evil. It's not because of communism. It's because of an oligarchy. And it's because when people have power, their biggest fear is losing that power. And if you give the powerful people, the people with money, if you give them control of the government, you'll never fucking get it back. They don't give a fuck about your religious beliefs. They don't give a fuck about immigration. They don't give a fuck about trans people. They're using things that incite you and get you upset so that you will ignore the fact that they're getting all the power and they're getting all the money and they're getting all the wealth. And they just lie to you every single day. And they keep you in this constant state of fear every single day, to the point that some of you spend 3.5 hours a day with me. 3.5, and all you do is insult me. I'm fucking working class. Below, like, I'm not even I'm not a six-figure earner. I'm a making ends meet working class person advocating for you, the working class. And somehow you think that Elon Musk and this jolly band of billionaire douchebags are actually here for you. When in history have the richest people in a country chosen to do what's best for the country? Raise your hand, Republicans, if you're here and you supported the United States going to Europe and supporting the Allies and fighting against the Nazis. Raise your hand. I want to see. I'm not even going to talk shit to you. I just want to see how many Republicans we have here. Raise your hand. Actually, just anybody. Raise your hand in the chat if you supported the United States joining the Allies and going to fight against the genocide of the Jewish people in Germany. Anybody? There we go. There's the hands. Now we're seeing them. Who didn't want that? Who didn't want that type of liberation? The richest among us. Henry Ford, the most powerful automaker at the time, absolutely sympathetic to the cause of the Nazis. All of his favorite world leaders were Nazis or fascists. And now we have the richest automaker in the country.
We've
who is over in Germany speaking at Nazi events, siding with people like Viktor Orban, siding with people like Benjamin Netanyahu, siding with people like I said Orban. What's the other guy's name over there? Should I forget his name? Siding with the Romanian far right, siding with the French far right, siding with Argentina, siding with El Salvador. It's the same fucking thing. Because what they recognize is that those countries, they cater to the rich, and the rich have power, and the people are rebelling against the power that has been given to the rich via money. And they recognize that could happen here too. And the only thing standing between us and a complete oligarchy are the people. And it's not you guys. It's not the Republicans. You're pushing yourself into a future for your children, for your grandchildren, for yourself, depending on how old you are. You're pushing yourself towards a future that has really no hope. No hope for people to elevate. Just an oligarchy and fiefdoms. You could say it like you could call it crazy. You can call it whatever you want, but like go read their words. They've all said it. Elon Musk said it. Peter Thiel said it. Curtis Yarvin said it. Mark Andreessen said it. Howard Lutnick said it. All of these billionaires have said it. This is what they want. They wrote it down. They spoke it. It's on video. And somehow we can't fucking convince you to believe them. Why? Because when they're on the world stage now talking politics, they're like, no. We're here for you. Truly, we're here for you. And I would say, like, look at their actions, but it doesn't seem like you guys are aware of what actions an oligarchy would take, what actions fascism would take. It appears to me that none of you have educated yourselves on how this shit happens, because Trump administration, number one, yes, you guys got called fascist a lot. And that's because a lot of people saw, like, the startings of fascism. And so they warned, and you guys ignored it. And then we warned you about Project 2025, and you ignored it. And now they're doing fascism right in front of your face. They are silencing opposition. They are deporting opposition. They are defunding opposition. They are threatening opposition. They are making lists of their opposition. They chose an FBI director that had a hit list for the opposition. And you wonder why Kash Patel's been so fucking quiet lately? How come Kash Patel's not saying anything? What did happen to Sean Ryan? What are they up to? Why so quiet? When they start coming for people after their speech, are you going to stand up then? Or are you going to be the same cowardly little bitches that you are now, where you watch people's rights get stripped away and you go, well, it's not my rights. I don't like their politics anyways. Fuck them. Eventually it's you. Eventually it's your rights that are taken. Eventually it's the subsidy that keeps your business afloat. Nobody is immune to the government cutting funding. Nobody, no industry. I don't care if you work for yourself or not. If the government keeps cutting spending, that allows the oligarchs to take over everything. And eventually you have nothing. No ability to create a business. You're just a worker bee. And that's exactly what they want. And I hope some of you, like day by day, I hope one or two of you is starting to figure this out. This isn't really about Trump. It's not about Elon. It's not about politics. I recognize that Donald Trump won the election, and because of that, you guys should get some of your policies put into place. That's how it works. A lot of policies that I hate. But for the love of God, could you just focus on those and make sure that this administration doesn't strip everybody of their rights on their way out? Could you just find a pulse every once in a while? Be like, maybe deporting people without due process is not a good thing. Historically, it's never been a good thing. Thank you, David. Appreciate you. Did I miss one there too? All right, I went overtime. I'll be back tonight with Admir. Jen, what time are we going with Admir?
I think 5:45 is what we did last time, Pacific time.
5:45 Pacific. Okay, cool. So
yeah, really fast.
Oh, yeah.
But, so I'm reading the YouTube chat. You need to, if you want to debate Jay, you message me on Discord. He's not reading your comments. So get off your whatever attitude you've got. That's how we do debates. That's how it's done. Quit giving people attitude. You want to debate, Jay? It won't be today. Come back tomorrow. On Discord, it's Jen, Jenn, dub, the number 1. That's how we do it. If you don't like it, cope. I don't give a fuck. So
She doesn't. She really doesn't. Yeah. Look, the truth is they don't want to argue this. I think you guys know that you can't argue this. The truth is that
there's a guy Solar that he's got all the evidence, but he's trying to argue with Benny in the chat. I just noticed it. So
come up, Solar Man. I'll stay. Come on up. What are some of the rights? that could potentially be lost? Well, first of all, due process. Due process. We've already seen that they have no problem stripping due process from people. Is that not a right? How about freedom of speech? Whew. That one seems to be getting taken away pretty regularly. You guys just don't think that that those rights are being stripped from people because you don't think that those rights apply to people that aren't citizens. Even if they're here legally, you don't think that those rights apply. But if you can't see that speech and due process are under attack, I don't know what to tell you. Those are the rights. All right, guys. I'll see you guys all hopefully later tonight on TikTok. I hope the audio's better. I hope Admir got some good internet. Jen, maybe we check in. Like, maybe we don't even do the event if he's gonna host it in a fucking restaurant again, because that Wi-Fi was dog shit.
Well, it got better towards later on. So I mean,
maybe I went and I listened to it back. Yeah. I listened back. Oh, by the way, we'll address this too. Jen, did you ever go back and look at the video that I called you about?
Remind me.
There's this weird thing that happens to the recording. So if you go back and you watch the debates from before, you'll hear that oftentimes I respond to something the person I'm debating with. I respond before they say it. There's something, I don't know if it's with this mic connecting to a cell phone, but for some reason, if I connect this mic to a cell phone, it creates a delay. So it makes it almost unlistenable. Like, it just sounds like we're talking over each other the whole time. But in real time, that's not what was happening. In real time, like, I was beating the person to what they said. Like, I'd respond and then you'd hear them say it like half a second later. It's really weird. I don't know how to.
No, I didn't go back and listen to it. But I mean, when I was watching it, it was fine. When I was watching it in real time. So
we'll figure out how to fix that. I'll mess with it today. But anyways, catch us on TikTok tonight. It'll also be broadcast on YouTube and do we do Twitch or just YouTube?
I figured it out. I was able to get it to Twitch last time, so I think I should be able to do the same. So
Okay. Let me check comments one more time. We'll get out of here. Any last words, Jen?
Nope. If you haven't subscribed to us on Twitch, please do so. Same with YouTube. And yeah, that's it. We'll catch you guys later.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow morning and every morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time right here on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. If you'd like to reach out to any of us and schedule a debate, you're more than welcome to do that. Linktree's in my bio. We've got there's a million ways to contact us. So if you want to schedule an actual debate, welcome to do it. But as usual, you guys are all welcome to come up during the live. If you have TikTok and you want to debate, just follow us on TikTok. We'll be live tonight for a few hours. You can catch us there. Other than that, thank you guys for the support. We knocked out the gift goal. I really appreciate it. I honest to God hate asking for it every single time. It's truly the worst part of my job. So I appreciate you guys making it easy on me. I'll be back tomorrow morning. If I don't see you tonight, stay cute and cool and have a great summer.